Greetings, peace, and blessings. Shalom, shalom to all the Hebrew camps, congregation, Knesset, the beloved Hebrew community near and far, the nations, the Nethinims. I am Chief Priest Banyala, presiding over this Sabbath class, joined by my reader, Priest Gabaria and Priest Rashim. Today's class is titled Armageddon. We are living in some very, very, very interesting times, and it behooves each and every one of us to be astute, to be well aware, and to know exactly what is happening, and Abba willing, what exactly will happen. Because if we half step, we'll find ourselves out of the will of Abba Yahweh. And if we're out of the will of Abba Yahweh, we are circumventing salvation. And so this class, you may hear a lot of people now because of the Israeli-Hamas a war that's going on, talking about prophecies, especially a lot of Christians talking about prophecy. And every last one of them confidently are in error. All right, if anybody is assuming and presuming that in 1948 the Israelites were ordained by God, go back into the homeland, you are confused. You are a madman. The Heavenly Father do not need the Rothschilds with the Balfour document and agreement to go and petition the British government to allow us to come home. It didn't work that way. It's not prophesied to happen that way. Hamashiach, the Messiah, the Prince, will come and bring his people from all quarters of the earth and return them to their homeland. Matter of fact, the people who orchestrated this return are atheists. They call themselves Zionists, and Zionists are different than these Orthodox Jews. All right, very, very different, unquote, or end quote. These people are secularists. These people are nationalists. This all they're looking for is a homeland for their ethnicity. As a matter of fact, all the Christians are looking at it as if this is a biblical movement. They're saying that they are a part of ushering in the return of God's people to the Holy Land. And you have Christians like John Hagee talking about, let's get money together and send it to the Jews. They got a bunch of Christians. Send money to the Jews. Send it over there to the poor Jews. And this is what they do. They take up collections and send money out thinking that they're supporting the children of Israel. You're sending money to a predominantly atheistic government. Let's get the stats on that. Gallup poll has done a poll on the religiosity of modern Jewry, what is now called the Jews. Surely, after World War II, 1948, the people said, let's give them a homeland so they can practice their Judaism. Because over here, they're getting discriminated against. You got anti-Semitic acts and atrocities. Surely, they got their homeland so that they can return and practice Judaism. How many of them are practicing Judaism on the land? Let's read. The title says I'm more with that one. Absolutely. Let's go with what they come up with, which is we know is stretched.
The article's title poll: Israel is one of the world's least religious countries.
Wow. Not just in the region, but the world. One of the least religious countries. So all your Christian dollars is going out to an atheistic government that don't even believe in your sweet Jesus. They're not messianic. None, or very few, I should say, can't even come up on the Richter. They're not messianic. They don't believe in Christ. They are anti-Christ. There are many people that have gone to Jerusalem and start proselytizing. And guess what the Benjamin Netanyahu right-wing government has proposed? That if you come over here with that Christian proselytizing, you go straight to jail. It was getting ready to pass law too, and Benjamin knows that they get all of their their money from the American and Western governments. They're like, we can't do that. We can't do that. And another thing, they look at Gentiles, they call them goyim. They're beneath them. They're nothing. They're less than. But if you take the funding and the security and the weaponry of the goyim away, these Israelis wouldn't last 20 minutes in that Middle East. Go tell Jordan, go tell Egypt, go tell Saudi Arabia, go tell Lebanon, go tell Syria that America is not going to back them. And no money is coming, no ships, no nothing. they wouldn't last 20 minutes, and I'm being conservative, all right? They wouldn't last 20 hot minutes. And you're supposed to be the people of David, the people of, you're supposed to hate the Goyim. As I was saying before I went off, is that they got Christians that go out there and start proselytizing, and they're met with vitriol and bitterness, spitting on them, telling them how they are Christ. Your Christ is boiling in his excrement, as the Talmud says. And you're sending money, and you're supporting and aiding. Fox News and CNN is nothing but nonstop. We got to help them. You know, the Bible says you reap what you sow. So if you reap an ass whipping and you get it, don't turn around and I got my ass whipped. If you sowed an ass whipping and you reaped it, don't turn around and just say, oh, he hit me in the face. Don't look at what I sowed. Just look at, I got hit in the face. I need to do what the Bible said. I need to go and investigate. You sowed that madness and you received what you had coming. If you look at what's happening over there, it's absolutely amazing. It is atrocious. It's barbaric. It's abominable. Let's read about this religious center, this navel of the earth, this shining city of peace. Let's read.
Perhaps it's the Jewish state, but the state of Judaism in Israel might raise a few eyebrows. According to an international Gallup poll, Israel is now one of the world's least religious countries. Nearly 2/3 of Israelis polled either describe themselves as non-religious or convinced atheists.
Check this out. Over 2/3, all right, which is actually 70%. As you begin to read on, saying they're either atheists or I'm secular. I don't believe. I've met so many of these people that say I'm a non-practicing Jew, meaning ethnically I'm a Jew, but I don't practice that stuff. Let's read on.
57% of Israelis describe themselves as non-religious, while 8% said they were convinced atheists. Just 30% described themselves as religious.
So, you have gone through World War I, World War II, the Balfour document. You've gone through all of this stuff with Palestine, everything with Jordan and Egypt, the 6-Day War. You've gone through all of that so that these Jews, these people, these godly people, supposedly, can go and worship, and only 30% of them do this? It sounds like a scam to me. Something don't sound right. All right? Yeah, it's fixed. The sham is in. It's in. Something is going wrong. In that whole Middle East, the average percent is 80% of religiosity amongst the Arabs or the North Africans. 80%. And so amongst these people, we find that they are not practicing, but they will fight you tooth and nail to say that we are those people. If you are those people, behave like the people. So as a man thinketh, so is he. Obviously, you're thinking unlike a Hebrew. Let's read up, finish up on that, priest.
This makes Israel less religious than Japan, 62%, Germany, 59%, Switzerland, 58%, and South Korea, 55%. The Jewish state was neck and neck with the UK and the Netherlands.
So the ones that were mentioned are all biblical Gentiles. The Gentiles is more religious than the so-called chosen people. We find that to be very, very disturbing. But you can judge a tree by its fruit. You can judge who are the people of the Most High by the way they behave and act. And amongst so-called melanated people, black people in the Americas, the percentage rate is the high 80s, knocking on 90%. If you ask them, are they religious? Yes, I'm religious. They may not be performing it. They may be our drug dealer, but they still wearing a Jesus piece and they say prayers when they come into the house. Sister may be walking the streets in the middle of the night selling herself, but I pray Jesus, take care of me tonight. Crackheads on drugs, take care of me. They still believe in a higher power. These people have all the prominence and all the gifts, and they have turned back into their true nature, which we'll discuss and talk about later on. We're going to drop that. We're going to move on. The atrocities that are happening right now in the Middle East is absolutely utterly amazing. What they call the Middle East, Northeast Africa, utterly amazing. If you're not up to snuff on what's happening right now, the atrocities. Now, we don't have, as they say in the world, a dog in this fight. None of them, whether it be the Palestinians or the Israelis, belong in that land. But obviously, the Ottoman Empire came in after we were expelled out of Israel in Northeast Africa. They took care of all the Jews, all the Hebrews, these Moors that were in the land. And then after World War II, we find now more colonization happening. And right now, it took Europeans hundreds of years of colonization to get to where they needed to be. But it's taken the Israelis less than 100 years. Actually, about 50 years. They have expressed neo-colonization, and they're doing it. They are doing it at a mass rate. Imagine Gaza is being like D.C. It's about twice the size as D.C. Or let's say Manhattan. It's about the size of Manhattan. And they say all black people need to go to Manhattan. And you can't get off that island. We got a checkpoint at the George Washington Bridge, Verrazano Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge. We got checkpoints there. And there are people born on that island that have never left it. They control everything that come in. They got population. They know, they even control the amount of food that go in. They turn around and say, you too damn fat out there. We're going to reduce the caloric intake of everybody by allowing only X amount of food, keeping them like some kind of toy. They allow certain material to go in that you can build and certain things you can't build. This is modern apartheid. We wouldn't stand for that. And then when somebody try to break off the island, they look at this terrorist trying to swim across the Hudson. Shoot him. Shoot him. And when you retaliate, you're called a terrorist. Yeah. Not a freedom fighter. Not somebody trying to resist a resistance fighter. You're not called that. You know what it more likely looks like? It looks like a slave plantation. A slave plantation. Now, a slave plantation, you had to accept whatever. They controlled everything that came in. They controlled you like they controlled the Palestinians. But there were people that tried to knock or get off the slave plantation. You ever heard of Denmark Vesey? Yeah. I know you heard of Nat Turner. Nat Turner was a freedom fighter, and he got off that plantation momentarily, finding out he was an Israelite, saying that they're going to go and create New Jerusalem, but he did it through violence. He was killing slave masters, cutting their heads off, killing little babies and all of that stuff. What would they call him today? A damn terrorist. But we look back fondly at him and saying, man, he put his life on the line to try to free his people. And so if you were on a plantation back in the day, you would be considered a terrorist if you did anything but comply. And so what we're seeing right now is unparalleled destruction. Now, none of it is good. Can't go and do this to the Israelis, but the overwhelming, disproportionate response is like a man in a wheelchair coming to me and hit me with a little stick or something, and I pick him up, go to the top of the roof and throw it out, just throw him up and just go down to the ground, stomp on him. That's the kind of disproportionate response that is happening right now. Leveling the place, dead babies, and they're lying. All the news media is propaganda. Did you hear about they supposedly beheaded 40 babies?
Yeah. Yep, I heard that.
That came out to be a pure lie. One soldier said, I think they was beheading babies. And the news did no due diligence and said, where are the babies? Where did you see this at? Where are the facts? None of that. They just wrote it down. The Hamas beheaded babies. Mm-hmm. Hezbollah is with them. And we just ate it up. They must be terrorists. And then after the damage is done, oh, no, we don't really have any evidence on that. But the damage is done. Your mind is already moved. It's morphed. They're playing these psychological games, especially when they turn around and said, this is our 9/11. When they said that, I said, you're absolutely right. This is your 9/11. What was 9/11? They allowed these people to come in and to destroy the World Trade Center. Why? So that they can have the drive, the energy, the impetus to go and bomb Iran, bomb Afghanistan, so that the military-industrial complex can make billions, if not trillions of dollars. And so they're saying, Oh, yeah, let them do it. How do we know this? Because Egypt came out and said, we warned y'all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Gaza shares a border with Egypt, and Egypt said, wait, we've noticed that they're bringing some missiles in. Stop this. The Israelis was like, no, don't worry. Don't worry. We got it from here. We have it. And when everything pop up and blows off, oh, my goodness, look at what's happening.
Yeah.
Now they're speaking as if these people are pests and rodents, living human animals, they have been called. We don't care about their babies. We don't care about anything. We're just going to once again, disproportionately bomb the entire place. This is how people act to our brute beasts and hooligans. If you got the most formidable army in the world, just go in and catch who you got to catch.
Yeah.
But you're acting barbaric and medieval. This is what they did to Israel. This is why it's so close to me. Because we have a high holy, not even a high holy day, but a memorial day where the Most High told us to mourn on those days. 10th month, 10th day is when the Babylonians came in and did the exact same thing to the exact same area, but our people were there. They didn't let nothing come in, nothing go out. All right, but they didn't have bombs back then. They had these little, they're called engines. They were just throwing stuff over there. All right, and so what happened? They wait till we got weak and starved. And when the 4th month, 7th day came, they began to break down the walls, and everybody's too weak to fight. And they massacred us. It was so horrible. The Most High said, every year, these are your 4 fasts that you come up with. And remember those days. So to sit back idly and to actually aid and abet, the Heavenly Father is watching every thought that you have. Every thought. Anybody that is sympathetic to butchering and destroying the life that the Most High has created so indiscriminately, so easily, you're not fit to live on Abba's planet. And there will be judgment. There will be. Trust me. You don't think you can just watch that? Oh, that's good news. CNN is on point. Yeah, that's right. And just leave. Your idle word has been recorded. Somebody got to speak up for justice. Somebody got to speak truth. All right, that is wrong. And then to have America outside saying we're going to send more billions. We're going to send more armament. I didn't vote for that. I didn't vote. Did you vote for that? Did you vote to give Israel hundreds of missiles, nuclear missiles? I didn't either. How did they get them?
Yeah.
Top secret. You will find out that their participation with these people is going to cause a great cataclysm upon this planet Earth. And anybody that is aligned with these types of people, when I say type of people, anybody that is of the spirit of Cain, they too will find themselves in precarious situations and at the judgment of Abba Yahweh. This class called Armageddon, part 1, is going to get into the crux of it, giving you the foundation needed. So, Abba willing, at the part 2, we can go through very rapidly. You know what we do at the House of Wisdom. We go through it extensively. We leave no stone unturned so that there's any doubt, it will be quelled. And so be ready to take copious notes, get your books out, get your laptops out, everything you need if you are concerned with Armageddon. All right? We're going to first go to 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, Apocrypha, and the 1st verse.
And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that a man waxed strong with the thousands of heavens. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, they all burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire.
All right. And so the Khazars, desert penguins, don't have to worry about this because they don't believe in Hamashiach, the Messiah. But those who do, this is Esdras seeing a vision of the return of the Messiah and giving great specifics on how he's going to return and what he's doing when he returns. Let's go over to Revelation, the 1st chapter and the 12th verse, which corroborates this exact same thing.
And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
All right, we've broken this down so many times, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But for the new people, definitely check out many of our classes where we have broken this down thoroughly. This is not denoting that Christ is a black man. This is 1 Corinthians 3:16, telling you that you are the temple of the Most High and that the Messiah embodies the temple. It first states that he was in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. If anybody know about the 7 golden candlesticks that presides over the tree of life in the sanctuary of the Most High, and the long garments upon the high priest, you know that he was in the sanctuary. And now you know his position, what he was there for, because you burn the incense to the Heavenly Father. Let's read.
Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
And once again, with great specificity, we have showed that this wool is talking about the offering of a lamb. He embodied the entire temple. Like you, if you are going to be, to use the English word Christian, or like Yeshua, you are to be a temple as well. And so the hair of his head was white like wool, not denoting that he had an afro. It's saying that he had, even though he was a melanated man. I'm not saying he wasn't, but we can use hundreds of other scriptures to prove that. Let's not, actually twist this one to actually take it away from his greater power to prove something on that level. So now it's saying that his hair was like the pure wool representing the lamb of that peace offering. Read on.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
And white as snow, meaning a lamb without flaw, no broken limbs, any of that. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. Talk about the fire of the altar. Read.
Verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass.
And his feet was like the brass of the brazen altar, copper and silver mixed. All right, so he has the wool, the lamb, he has the fire, he has the brazen altar. Read on.
As if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as a sound of many waters.
And that sound of many waters was speaking the baptism that all saints had to undergo when they entered into the temple. Continue.
Verse 16. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp, 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength.
So as we just read in Ezra, he returned and he had that brightness and he spoke and he began to burn and consume people. John saw the same thing when he envisioned the Messiah, the Prince, in the Holy Temple. Let's continue.
Verse 17. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last.
All right. So in the earlier verse, he mentioned the 7 stars, and he's going to break that down on his own as we read on. He said, Fear not, I am here, he that was here in the beginning. And Reshith, the first chapter, and I'm going to be here at the very end of the 8th millennium. He is the mighty word of Abba Yahweh. The Most High speaks it, he does it. He's the head of the Elohim Godhead. Read on.
Verse 18. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore.
So he's telling you, I'm Malak Zadok. I was alive, the word in the beginning. I came on earth in the 5th week, great week, which is the 5th millennium, and they crucified me, and I resurrected. I am he. Read.
Aman, and have the keys of hell and death.
So he alone has the keys of Sheol, hell, which is this physical plane we on right now. We broke this down in the class, the 7th heaven. This is the first heaven, and he has the keys to release us from it. And death, which is separation from Abba Yahweh. He has the keys to deliver us from sin and death in that covenant that the Heavenly Father graciously gave him. Read.
Verse 19. Write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter.
Now that's key. He's telling you not only write down the things that will come, but talk about the things that were prevalent in John's time as well. And that's going to play a part as we go on. But talk about the things that was in the past, the present, and the future. And reading Revelation or reading prophecy in general, you have to understand those 3. The past, the present, and the future. If you just generally, ubiquitously look at the Bible and think that that belongs to me, right there, I feel like I'm being oppressed, so that Jeremiah scripture belongs to me. You don't have a clue. Your oppression has nothing to do with the oppression of the children of Israel in the Babylonian incursion at all. All right, and sometimes they're talking about ancient Babylon. Sometimes they're talking about Neo-Babylon. And sometimes they're talking about spiritual Babylon. We're going to talk about it once again with great specificity. Let's continue.
Revelation chapter 1 and verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches.
Now pay close attention. If those who write in their Bible and mark their Bible, this should be definitely highlighted. The 7 stars are the 7 angels over the 7 churches. Okay? What are the 7 churches? We're going to talk about that. All right? We're actually going to pull out one of the churches, but I might as well give a brief understanding of that. When you see the 7 churches, or the 7 seals, or the 7 vials, or the 7 trumpets, or the 4 horses and the 3 woes, which are 7, each one of these are talking about what shall happen in the 7 millenniums, or the 7 great weeks. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go in sequential order like the trumpets, and then next going to be the vials, and next they all interchangeable. And you'll see it once you put them together. We have gone through this many, many times. And in the prophecy class on the city of Adam, we're going to be going through it thoroughly, dealing one at a time, great detail. All right, so he's saying here that in every millennium, there is an archangel in charge of the church. Whether it was that first church with Adam, there was an angel making sure that even though the children receded and went down that mountain, that I got somebody left that's going to carry on this holy genealogy. God. And in the second millennium, speaks about the waters shall be in flux and blood shall be all over the place. That's the angel saying, Abba, to keep this church going, we're going to have to save somebody. We'll go save Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth and their wives. Okay, let it be done. Third millennium, the exact same thing. He protected Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, brought forth Moses. Fourth millennium, fifth millennium, sixth millennium, which we are in right now, they're doing the exact same thing. All right, let's continue to read on.
Continuing in verse 20. And the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches.
All right, the 7 candlesticks are the 7 churches. Once again, fast and furiously. This is how this information is coming out. So definitely take copious notes. If you can't understand now, just take the notes. Go back and study it. May and pray the heavenly Abba gives you this understanding. So we got 7 stars, which are the angels over the 7 churches here on earth. Now, don't think like the Christian that these are 7 ancient churches that was in Asia Minor and they all dead now. That's not what it's talking about. They wouldn't waste their time with that. All right? It's not about, he said that these are things that are and are to come. These are the churches that are to come. All right, we're going to leave there real quick and get Zechariah, the 4th chapter, in the 1st verse. I cannot leave this without explaining thoroughly what these 7 lamps are and the angels over the 7 churches. Because with that information, that back information, we are more suited to understand Armageddon. Zechariah 4 verse 1.
And the angel that talked with me came again and walked and waked me, as a man that is waken out of sleep, and said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, with a bowl on top upon the top of it, and 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes and 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof.
All right, so Zechariah is saying, I see the same thing that John will see in the future. I see the 7 candlestick, meaning he was in the sanctuary of the Most High. And then he turns around and began to talk about, I see 2 olive trees. We already know what the 7 candlesticks are. They are the 7 churches, but there are 7 angels over those churches. There's a duality right there. There is a church in earth, 7 of them, and there's going to be 7 churches in heaven. Those are the angels over the church in heaven. The Messiah said, as it's done in earth, so shall it be done in heaven. Letting you know that we embody and replicate what's happening in the heavenly realm. Let's continue to read on.
The 3rd verse. And 2 olive trees
Now,
by
what are
it.
these 2 olive trees? It is the tree of life. And it got pipes pumping into the candlesticks. What do olive trees produce? Oil. How do you get the oil? Put in work. So both churches, one in heaven has to put in work. They have their tree of life, and we in earth have our tree of life. What kind of work? We know that the tree of life is a calendar, a cyclical calendar. We have 6 months on the left, winter, 6 months on the right, summer. We have the 4 intercalary days in the middle. We got the fruit upon it. And the Most High want his high sacrifices in the high holy days and in the regular days as well. This is the work. This is how you juice and oil and grab and distill the oil out of the tree. Not a physical tree, but a spiritual tree. Let's read.
And 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. And I answered and spoke to the angel that talked with me, saying, What are these, my Lord? The angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then he answered and said unto me, saying, This is the word of Abba Yahweh unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith Abba Yahweh.
Once again, I'm not going to bring the translation out, but I'll just talk it. Abba willing. Zerubbabel is not talking about a proper noun of a particular man. All right. It's talking about Zerah, which is talking about the seed from Babel. Those who are born out of Babylon, when you look it up. All right, so he's talking about, I'm talking to those that are going to be born out of spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom, and Babylon the Great. These things are going to happen to them. He's telling you what your power is. He says, not by might. What is might? Might is talking about your armament, your soldiers, your power, your political strength. He said, that's not how you're going to get out of here, people that are born out of Babylon. He says, not by power, not even your intellectual power or your financial power. None of that's going to get you out of this. But by my spirit, saith Abba Yahweh. This is how you're going to get yourself free from this. Let's walk with that. Let's pack that. Let's carry that with this understanding. Let's read.
The 7th verse. Who art thou, O great mountain?
And we're going to come back to this as well. Once again, table this, great mountain. Because as we go to Armageddon, we're going to find out that it's talking about a great mountain. And so these mountains, talking about governments. When the Most High spoke about the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, he said the heads are 7 mighty mountains, governments. And so he's now talking to the last government saying, how about you, you great government with all the power and all the might and all the weaponry? What you going to do to stand against the people that are born out of Babylon? Let's continue.
Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof without shoutings.
All right. They put 2 words together, Ra'ash.
With shoutings.
Ra'ash or Rosh. You've heard about that. It's talking about the foremost one or the head. And then they have Aban, which is tablets of stone. So he's going to come foremost to destroy the tablets of stone. And this is what's happening right now. What is the tablets of stone? It's the 6th covenant. All right? It's what Israel preferred over the spiritual enlightenment, made him put a veil over his face. And so the people out of Babylon is going to have a disdain for that primordial, primal covenant. All right? All of our ancestors loved it. Everybody knew, try to get it, I'm going to perfect it. You falling for the scam. Our ancestors couldn't keep it. That covenant is not about doing it to the best of your ability. That covenant is about doing it flawlessly. And if you fail, he will exploit that breaking of law, statutes, and commandments. All right, so we have Ra'ash Aban, which means starting foremost with the tablets. What is he going to say to them?
With shoutings crying, grace, grace unto it.
He's going to say grace, mercy, and charity. We don't prefer the tablets of stone. We prefer the grace, mercy, and charity. This is what the people that are born out of Babel is going to say. We prefer the grace to receive the power of Abba Yahweh to destroy that mighty mountain in the last days, letting us know in the seventh covenant we're well on our way. Anybody else is trying it by their own prowess, their own power, their own strength, their own political wrangling. They're being deceived and washed to and fro. Let's continue.
Moreover, the word of Abba Yahweh came unto me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house.
So he's saying the hands of those who came out of Babel back in antiquity, they started this house. All right, these are those who the Persians took over, and Nehemiah, Ezra, they all began to start laying a foundation to the house, the great temple. Let's read.
His hands shall also finish.
So those who are coming out of Neo-Babylon or Babylon the Great, they're going to be the one to finish it. It's not going to be a carnal one like they did, though. It's going to be a spiritual one. Continue.
And thou shalt know that Abba Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto you. For who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with these 7.
All right. So again, he's saying the day of small things, that perfunct, that weak temple during the time of the Persian Empire cannot contrast to this great one that the Heavenly Father is building. If you don't know already that the temple was and is the epicenter of Israel. It's not, running around with fancy garments, not putting turbans and tassels on. It's not hitting them streets. None of that. It is the temple and the worship of Abba Yahweh.
Come on.
This is the epicenter, the nucleus of being an Israelite, being a saint, covenant to Abba Yahweh. And everything else is peripheral. The center, though, if you're going to hit the bullseye, it is entering into the temple and worshiping Abba Yahweh. Let's continue to read on.
The middle of 10. They are the eyes of Abba Yahweh, which run to and fro through the whole earth.
Who are they? The 7 angels. All right, they watch over this church. They are the 7 eyes that go through to and fro throughout the earth. And so the eyes that was watching Adam, we know that they went through turmoil. But the Most High made sure that there was a righteous seed to make it through. He called it the red horse. The white horse, I should say. The first one because Adam reigned in righteousness. But Revelation, John comes back and speak about this great red horse because all the death that was going to happen when the flood came and what the men were doing to each other, killing each other. And so the angel knew it. And he preserved them in the first and the second millennium, and in the third during the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if he protected Solomon and David during the time of the fourth, and Malach Zadok, Christ himself in the fifth, what you think they're going to do in the sixth? Drop the ball? In the sixth millennium, they're going to take care of us assuredly like they took care of them. We must apply ourselves like they applied themselves. We cannot be untoward and froward, going against the will of Abba Yahweh. If he spoke it to Noah, Noah had every reason on this earth to doubt. That's like the Heavenly Father saying, it's going to rain gold coins. We ain't never seen that before. That sounds crazy. We got to be prophesying. It's about to rain gold coins out here. I know it sounds crazy, but the Most High stated it. And we've seen him work before. All right? And so if he stated it emphatically and we see it, and it's going to rain gold coins. Get your umbrellas out.
Get ready.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's read on.
The 11th verse. Then answered I and said unto him, what are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, what be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves?
So look at what these 2 olive trees are doing. They're emptying their oil into the 7 candlesticks, meaning they are harvesting the tree of life. They're taking the fruit out of it. How do you do that? You go to each branch within their season and time and take the oil, take the grain, take the wine, and offer it as an oblation to Abba Yahweh. 364 days a year, as mentioned in Enoch. And if you're not doing that, you're the 10 virgins, but you're the virgins that didn't have oil in their lamps. The others been working this system that the Most High put down here. And now who are these 2? Let's read.
And I answered again and said unto him, what be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves. And he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord.
He answered and said, You don't know what these are? You part of the earthly church and you don't know what this is? He said, simply, I don't know. I don't know. But who are they?
And he said, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by Yahweh of the whole earth.
All right. These are the 2 witnesses in Revelation, the 11th chapter. The church in earth and the church in heaven. The Most High said it on many occasions. I call heaven and earth to witness this day against you. This is why the Most High tell you, you need 2 witnesses. And if the Most High going to do something, he's going to tell his angels and he's going to tell you. Mm-hmm. And when you go wrong, he comes back and spank you because he got 2 witnesses testifying to it. Father said that. He said that. Who are we to have no witnesses? We are the child of the devil when we act like that. Right. We mimic our Abba, how he performs, how he engage in activities. So we've just, and we can go further, but we got to keep the continuity. We have established that the 7 churches are 7 churches that will be here for the 7 millennium that the Most High promised upon Adam, upon his failure to engage in what the Heavenly Father told him to engage in, keep the covenant, the spiritual angelic covenant. He regressed, descended, and the Most High said, for 7 days or 7,000 years, you and your offspring shall suffer here on the earth. And so the Most High divided them in 7 great Jubilee weeks, 20 Jubilees, 1,000 years each. Call a millennium to the Greeks. But to us, these are Jubilees, great Jubilees. And so the Father and all the saints were counting them down. Go check out the class, the 7,000 years or the 6,000 years and the 7th arrest, where we break that down thoroughly. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra 13, and we'll pick it up where you left off. I believe the 5th verse.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
So going back to the narrative in Ezra, the Messiah is returning, and he's returning for his church. Which specific church? Is he coming for the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd? We really need to know, because that's going to tell us what time he's returning and what we need to look for and how he's going to do it. He's saying now that he's going to return with all of everything that was mentioned in Revelation, and the world shall be afraid. Let's read.
But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it.
All right. I will read 5 again. And after this I beheld, and lo, there were gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of heaven to subdue the Messiah upon his return. So everybody thinking that this country and that country is great and Christian and great, these countries are going to be a part of trying to subdue the Messiah when he turns. Don't think it's going to be some third world hole in the wall, as Donald Trump would say. They don't have the power. They're not going to be throwing rocks at the Messiah. It's going to take a nuclear power to say, hey, we're going to try to knock him out the air. We're going to try to get that thing. Wisdom of Solomon talks about when he returns, they're going to say, this is so different than what we've ever looked for. This can't be Jesus. This must be aliens. And I wouldn't doubt that this is why they're letting all that out in the media. Oh, we've seen some aliens. Yeah. We've seen some alien movement around. Aliens. Everything is alien. So that when they turn around and say, hey, we formulate all armies, we got to fight this thing. You don't even know you're fighting your own salvation. He's coming to the plantation to liberate you, and you got shotguns, metaphorically speaking. All right, so he said that all nations are going to gather, and we're going to talk about it. He's going to show you exactly where they're going to gather at. And we can gauge now, is that happening? Is that going to happen? 6th verse again.
But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain.
Now check this out. He graved himself a great mountain. Not just a regular mountain, but we're talking about his government. All right? If they got 7 heads and there's 7 mighty mountains, he's coming to put his government together. And so upon his return, it's not going to be lightning and fire and thunder and earthquakes like you may think in the movie. He's coming first to bring forth his confederation. And this is, we won't go through it, part of that resurrection that will happen. They shall raise up, like Ezekiel 37 say, a mighty standing army. Revelation 11 says the exact same thing. They're going to be taken up. They're going to stand a mighty army. What do armies do? Cut grass to the lawn? No, they fight. This is what they're going to do, fight. This is why the armies are there, knowing Hasatan has told them, y'all better put everything on it. Yeah. Because if they succeed, your time, your tenure is up.
Over.
Let's read.
And flew upon it. But I would have seen the region, a place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not.
So we now see that Ezra, who was in Israel, in Judea, taken into the Babylonian captivity, well aware of the area, said, I don't even recognize where he returned. I've never seen that place before. It's not Babylon. It's not Israel as we know it. It was some other place. Maybe the city of Adam that he returned and put his government upon. Let's read.
And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight.
It's saying that this military operation, this united nation, thousands upon hundreds of thousands, if not millions of soldiers, brought themselves to fight this returning entity, this government that he's setting up. But they was quaking in their boots. Quaking. Had to be a formidable thought and sight to see the saints being raised up with power. Imminent death was upon them, but yet following orders. They said, we got to do what we got to do. Let's read.
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
Continue.
And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon the sudden an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
What we will find out, Abba willing, even in this class, this is the saints offering oblations. And this is the fire that we just read about in Revelation, the 1st chapter, coming down upon those who possess sin upon them. All right, this is as Elijah called fire from heaven at the oblation, and it burned up the sacrifice. They're going to be able to call fire from heaven to burn up their enemies with no weapon in hand, no nukes in hand, no guns in hand, none of that. Now, this is the world bringing together all their nukes and tanks and ICBMs and submarines and carriers and all kind of planes, the latest technology, state of the art. And these guys giving oblation and fire coming down, streams of it. This is why they quaked. It's because they saw exactly what was coming upon them because it happened before. All right, let's read on.
Afterwards I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and called unto him another peaceable multitude.
Now pay attention to this, because he's going to break down all of this. He called together another peaceable multitude. He already had his government. He already had his government. And then he says there's others that must come and be with us as well. Let's read. Call the verse.
The 13th verse. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, and some were sorry. Some of them were bound, and others some bought of them that were offered. Then I was sick through great fear, and I awaked and said, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer.
All right, for time's sake, let's jump down to the 21st verse.
And the interpretation of the vision shall I show thee, and I will open unto thee the thing that thou hast required. Whereas thou hast spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the perils in the time has kept himself. They that be fallen into danger are such as have works and faith towards the Almighty.
So he's saying these that shall be protected were those of the church that operated in the tree of life, with oil in their lamps, practicing the high holy days, the covenant of the Most High. This shall be your protection. Remember what he told to the seed that came out of Babel, not by strength, not by might. You're going to make it through this temple. You're going to make it through building that spiritual temple. That's how you're going to make it out of this. It's going to take spiritual power to dethrone these carnal people. They have had thousands of years to perfect their physical craft.
Yeah.
Gideon taught them well, and he's still teaching them well, giving them new technology of death. These people now have energy weapons. Energy weapons. They pointing lasers at people, and they're melting like butter. And you got your shotgun. I'm ready to go to war. They just put a ray right there, cut your shotgun in half, cut your arm off and whole torso.
Yeah.
You ain't doing nothing. Yeah, they gave you a water gun. When they got real guns, Most High is letting you know the Most High will never let you get the real gun, because you will think you got out of here by your guns.
Yeah, con.
The Most High want to show you not by your power, not by your might, your stratagems, not by your war college, but by Abba Yahweh. He came down and scooped you up. All right, let's read on.
The 24th verse. Know this, therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead.
All right. Blessed, and it's even talking about the saints now. Blessed be those who had work, righteousness, free of sin, because they're going to walk into the seventh. They're going to walk into the seventh millennium of rest. Those who be dead, they can make it in the second resurrection at the end. So blessed are those who make it through the first resurrection. And the first resurrection is going to happen at the end of the sixth millennium that we're in right now. All right. And when it happens, it's going to be too late. That's the wedding chamber opening. And they said, come on in. The wedding is here. Now you want to go get some virtue. Now you want to go give up an oblation. Now that you see it, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late to be a part of the first. But at that time, Heavenly Father is gracious. He'll tell you, yeah, keep on with those oblations. Got another 1,000 years of rest. And you'll be part of the second resurrection if you continue and endure to the end. All right, let's read on.
The 25th verse. This is the meaning of the vision. Whereas thou sawest the man coming down from the midst of the sea. The same is he whom Abba Yahweh the highest has kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing end of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell upon the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
So he said, this is the interpretation of that man coming out of the water. You're going to see him when you begin to see what the Messiah said in Matthew, the 24th chapter. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. A man's foes shall be those of his own household. You shall see division. You shall see fissures all over the world. All right, these are one of the signs. But he's going to tell us the key sign. Let's read.
And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
All right, he says, and the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I have already shown you. And my son shall be declared. This son he's talking about right now. Well, then, to understand this, let's go look at the sign that he showed Ezra just a couple of chapters over, the 10th chapter. Let's pick up 2nd Ezra, the 10th chapter, And Rashim will get that, priest Rashim, in 2 Ezra 10:41.
Thou sawest a woman mourning, and thou beganest to comfort her. But now seest thou the likeness of the woman no more. But there appeared unto thee a city builded.
All right, so I'm just getting to the minutia of this prophecy. The whole chapter and the previous chapter actually break down. We've broken down this so much, but I have to distill just this specific point. He saw a woman, and he's going to break down what the woman was. And then he said he's seen a building, a city builded, letting you know that this building to come, you won't have to lay not one brick, not one piece of hinge on the door, none of that. The Most High is going to have the angels build it as back in the day when they built it for Adam. All right, we have to go in ready to work it. All right, let's read.
Amazing.
Con.
Verse 43. And whereas she told thee of the death of her son, this is the solution.
So this is the same son that the Most High said, I'm sending down there to you. Let's pay close attention. He said, this is the sign that I showed you, Ezra. Remember the vision you had. And so this son that is going to return, that everybody's going to fight against, I already showed you who he is. Let's read.
Verse 44. This woman whom thou sawest is Zion.
This woman is Zion, Mount Zion. What is Mount Zion? Jasher, we brought it out. It's talking about the city of Adam. That's on the western side of Africa. It is that glorious city that the Most High said nothing will be built on it till he returns. All right, he's saying this is the holy Zion, not some fictitious place that they may try to create in modern Israel. That's not Zion. All right, that's not the place that the Most High made. Let's read.
Continuing in verse 44. And whereas she said unto thee, even she whom thou seest as a city builded, whereas I say she said unto thee that she hath been 30 years barren. Those are the 30 years wherein there was no offering made in her.
So he's just explained it. The city, the metaphorical woman, was barren, meaning she couldn't get pregnant, bring forth a child. He explained and said that's when Israel couldn't offer up oblations. So we already now, putting on our Hebrew thinking caps, we already know that the son is an oblation.
Yeah.
In the prophecies. But he's going to explain thoroughly as we go on. Let's read.
Verse 46. But after 30 years, Solomon builded the city and offered offerings.
So we know that Solomon built the temple 3,000 years after the fall of Adam. And he says when he offered that, the metaphorical woman, what happened to her?
And then bare the barren a son.
Then she bare a son. So when no offering was up, there was no son. When he offered an offering, the metaphorical woman birthed a child. So the son he's speaking about in the 13th, 14th, 15th chapter is not specifically just talking about Hamashiach. Yes, it's talking about the word of the Most High, him, Malach Zadok, bringing his covenant, allowing the saints to offer these oblations, in which he is the head of. So let's just not think that we're going to see a man coming down and he's going to erase everything for us. You have to work. You have to be a part of this family, the son that is being birthed into this earth. Let's read.
2 Ezra chapter 10 and verse 47. And whereas she told thee that she nourished him with labor, that was the dwelling in Jerusalem. But whereas she said unto thee that my son coming into his marriage chamber happened to have failed and died, this was the destruction that came to Jerusalem.
All right. And so when he nourished her, this is the time of the split of the kingdom. When the northern kingdom went into the Assyrian captivity, or before that, they was reigning, they was wicked. This was the nourishing of them. Sacrifices were still going on. They was just mixed and intermingled with wickedness. Now, when the Heavenly Father said, I'm fed up with it, at exactly 3,500 years after the fall of Adam, the Father said, take away that temple. Destroy it. Times and a half of times. Destroy it. And so this was the time in the parable that the woman's son fell and died. Why? Because if a temple is destroyed, there are no more sacrifices. All right, and so this is the breakdown that the Heavenly Father is telling Ezra to go remember. This son, your sacrifices, is returning. It is going to allow the government to be in the city of Adam. And when they speak these oblations, they're going to have power in these oblations beyond the level that is right now. They're going to be able to, like Elijah, cause fire from heaven and eviscerate, smelt all the enemies. And so we don't have to practice our marksmanship. You have to practice the oblations. Burn them up, annihilate them, turn them into ashes, and know the strength and power that you're operating with. Let's read on.
2 Ezra chapter 10 and verse 49. And behold, thou sawest her likeness, and because she mourned for her son, thou beganest to comfort her. And of these things which have chanced, these are to be opened unto thee. For now, though the Most High seeth that thou art grieved unfeignedly, and sufferest from thy whole heart for her, so hath he showed thee the brightness of her glory and the comeliness of her beauty.
He said, because of your compassion toward the woman that he saw in the vision, he said, the Most High allowed you to see the rest of this. And you saw her comeliness and her beauty. This is the saints returning to their homeland. They will be absolutely amazing. Nothing on this earth can compare to them, is what he's saying. Now let's read on.
Verse 51. And therefore I bade thee remain in the field where no house was built.
He said, this is why I told you, Ezra, go into a field. I don't want a shack to be there. I don't want nothing to be there. I don't want you to think that somebody built this. I want you to know that Abba Yahweh constructed this thing. Go to a place where there's nothing, just an open field somewhere. All right, read on.
Verse 52. For I knew that the highest would show this unto thee. Therefore I commanded thee to go into the field where no foundation of any building was. For in the place wherein the highest beginneth to show his city, there can no man's building be able to stand.
He said, what the Most High is building, there can't be a New York City. There cannot be a Tel Aviv. There cannot be a Gaza or the West Bank. There cannot be a metropolis like the old city of Jerusalem. For some Gentile may say, oh, we built that. My hand, God used that because my hand was on it. And if they did build something in the city of Adam, nothing that is built on Malak Zadok, Yeshua, Yahushai shall stand. Everything shall be obliterated. The Heavenly Father starting with a clean slate. As I said before, you won't lay brick and mortar. You won't put up hinges and electricity. You won't put up any of that. And I'm glad and I'm thankful, not because I'm just lazy, because he's going to use new technology, angelic technology. Ain't going to be no light switch coming in there and they can do what they're doing to Gaza. Cut off the lights.
Yeah.
Cut off the water. They're going to stop them oblations. This is all angelic, all divine, orchestrated by the Most High. This is the same city that Adam dwelled in before his demise. The Heavenly Father is resurrecting it again. Let's continue on, priest.
Verse 55. And therefore fear not. Let not thine heart be affrighted, but go thy way in and see the beauty and greatness of the building, as much as thine eyes be able to see.
So he told Ezra, go in. I'm going to show you this. Go up as much as you can take in. You can't take this in. You only take in a little bit. I know it. But take in as much as you can. This is what I'm bringing back. All right? This is what I'm bringing back.
Oh, praise.
So the Heavenly Father is telling Ezra, again, remember this vision? Remember this sign I showed you? And so the layman may be thinking what the Christians have taught you, that blonde hair, blue eyes is coming. He's coming down with a hippie gown on, hair just blowing in the wind. And he's going to be touching all the little children. He's got these little naked cherubims flying around. All of them got little bow and arrows. This is what we have been taught. But now what we're seeing here is that there will be an amazing army resurrected. And they are going to have power through their oblations to actually burn up the opposition. And he told us, don't be frightened. I mean, we can have somebody from, anybody come up to us now. We're going to be like, hey, I don't want no problems. I think he can be a security guard. He shut all of us down. He got no authority. Run you up off the block. How much more all armies of the world coming together? He's telling you, don't be afraid. The power that the Most High has given us is astronomical. Hasn't been seen since the days of the Malak Zadok. And he said, the things I do, you shall do. But greater works than these, because if I do that now, I'm going to stop prophecy. I'll just do a little bit right now and give you a taste of what y'all going to be doing. When they was in the Garden of Gethsemane and they was coming to get him, he said, let me flex my little power, my power on you. They came to touch him and he just flexed and they all fell down. And this wasn't no Christian church, they'd be faking, waving their little jacket and whatnot. This was the real deal. And he said, let me back up, because I'm gonna scare these little young ones, and they ain't gonna want to take me in so I can fulfill prophecy. And he's like, come take me, man. What's wrong with you? Do your job. Do it quickly. And so he did that, so we will know the power that will be upon the saints in the latter days. All right, let's continue.
2nd Ezra chapter 10 and verse 56. And then shalt thou hear as much as thy ears may comprehend. For thou art blessed above many other, and art called the highest.
All right, for time's sake, we're going to drop that and go back to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, Priest Gabaria, pick it up in the 32nd verse. So we're seeing the sign that was showed to Ezra. Now, let's continue to follow this prophecy. Let's read it again in 32.
And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
So is everybody following along? Who is this son? It's the oblations, all right? It is the oblations, all right? Orchestrated, facilitated by Malak Zadok, the king priest, presiding over all of it. We can contextualize what this is talking about. These are the signs just in the 10th chapter. It's the oblations. When the woman fell, when the son fell, the oblation stopped. All right? It's talking about oblation, sacrifice, the offerings. Let's read on.
33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have won against another. And the innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
He's saying now that here is the atmosphere when the return happened. There's going to be this precipitation, this increase of fighting amongst them before the return. All right, make sure we are aware of this. Before the return, you're going to see these nations encouraging and fighting against each other. All right, they're going to say, hey, you know what? You and I fighting against each other. We don't need to do that. Let's go fight that thing.
Yeah.
All right, because they are going to take all our power away. And so regardless of the atrocities that they do to one another, they're going to forgive one another, and they're going to all come and say, let's fight against the son. Who's the son? Malak Zadok, bringing his formidable army, as we have already talked about in prophecy. He said he got his army first, and then he's going to bring another peaceable multitude to be a part of it. These are the ones that they're going to come together to fight against. Let's read on.
But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hand.
Meaning, without hand, he's going to build it. This is that holy Zion, which means weapon. All right, this is why he's choosing Mount Zion instead of Sinai. All right, it is the weapon of the Most High. This is that formidable army to fight. Let's continue.
And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and their torments, wherewith they have begun to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor.
Check this out. He's going to destroy them without any physical labor. How's he going to do it?
By the law.
By Torah. All right, not eating pork. That's not Torah. It means sacrifice, information, instructions on how to sacrifice. The Khazars will tell you it's not eating pork. It's not Torah. Torah is information on how they're going to destroy him. Read it again.
Without labor, by the law.
They're going to destroy them by oblation. That's the strength. That's the power. That's what the Most High told Zerubbabel, are the children, the seed that shall rise from Babel, not by your physical might, not by your guns, not by your power, but by this temple, by my spirit. So go and construct the temple if you want to get free. Anything else is a waste of time. So by the law, the sacrifices, shall you get that victory. Read on.
Which is like unto me.
Which is like unto the sacrifices you see in the spiritual realm. Continue.
And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude.
Now remember, he had already gathered his government. And he said, let me go get the other peaceable multitude. Who was the other peaceable multitude?
Those are the 10 tribes.
The 10 tribes, the northern kingdom is coming back. Now pay close attention, because there's a lot of false doctrine out there. All right, this can't go down if the 10 tribes is North American Indians. It can't go down if Mexico or Mexicans is Issachar. Zebulon is Panama. Yeah. This is all irrelevant if that's the case. All right, because this is happening in a specific place, as you'll see in a moment. And as a matter of fact, we'll go dredge up the history. All right, we're not here to personally attack anybody. We are proponents and we traffic in truth. And if the truth offends, then let it offend. But there are people out there looking for liberation, and they're getting caught up in the snares of Ha-Satan. So we got the 10 tribes joining in the city of Adam. The Most High is going to make a way to bring them back. Before we can understand how they're coming back, we need to understand how they went away and where did they go. Let's read 40 again.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Now, this is a critique of what they wanted. Everybody know who have any kind of semblance of history that the northern kingdom was flat out disturbingly wicked. All right? Disturbingly wicked, already gone. So he said they took this counsel among themselves that we're going to leave and go to another place, and over there we're going to keep the law that we could not keep in our own country, that we did not keep in our own country. Let's read.
That they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land.
This is a critique. This is a critic. You ain't keep it in your own land. Well, you had everything. You went to war with Southern Kingdom, Judah, and you broke off, created Bethel, and did your own stuff. And you didn't keep it there. How much more are you going to keep it somewhere else? Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
All right. Look at what it said here in the next verse.
And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
All right. How did they enter? People will tell you that this was them coming across and coming to the Americas. Once again, this is fool's play to get you off the groove of salvation. Let's pause and get into the history of how they left. And then we'll talk about how they return when these oblations start again. All right. 2 Kings 17, verse 1.
In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years.
All right, so we see now Hoshea, which was mentioned earlier, being the final king of Israel, not Judah. Ahaz is the king of Judah at that time. The temple is split, or the kingdom is split. All right, let's read. And he was king over Samaria. That's going to come up too. Samaria is a part that was close to Israel, but it was reigned or ruled by the northern kingdom. Let's continue.
Verse 2. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Most High.
And this is why the critique came back. You didn't do it back then.
God.
How you going to do it somewhere else? Read on.
But not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Verse 3. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents.
All right, so he became a tributary. All right, he had to pay taxes to Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria. All right, let's read.
Verse 4. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison.
All right, so the history tells us details. Is that he began to conspire with the king of Egypt, once again going down to Egypt for help. And the Egyptians convinced him that he don't need to pay or be a tributary to the Assyrians. And the Assyrians came through and locked him up. Continue.
Verse 5. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of H.O.W, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah, in Habor, by the river Gozan, and in the city of the Medes.
All right, let's read that 6th verse again.
In the 9th year of H.O.W, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria. And
all right, took them into Assyria. It will behoove you to Google an Assyrian map or do a search and look at the Assyrian campaign, how many countries that they carried or how many they ruled over. And so he's going to list some. All right. Some of these, Halah was at the land of 2 rivers, now known as Iraq or Babel. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 6.
Yep.
And placed them in Halah, in Habor, by the river Gozan, and in the city of the Medes.
Now, we should know the Persian and the Medes were one, and the Persian Medo Empire is modern-day Iran. So we had 10 tribes taken out of their homeland, and to go there, you have to cross over the Tigris and Euphrates River, and you are placed in modern-day Iran. Keep that in your chamber of imagery. Let's read.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Most High, their Abba Yahweh, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and had feared other deities, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Most High cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Most High, their Abba Yahweh. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
All right, and so we're going to jump down to 18 for time's sake. As we said before, I reiterate, the northern kingdom was disturbingly wicked, completely gone. They were broken. They was already destroyed spiritually. They had engaged in the abomination of desolation. The only thing left was for them to become desolate. And so for them to speculate, we're going to go somewhere else and keep the law, the father found that quite comical, quite funny. And he was cynical. Oh, you're going to go keep it over there. You can keep it over here. That's not the case. All right, not the case at all. If so, we would have known who they were. The reason we don't know or didn't know who they were is because the Most High cast them into obscurity because they didn't keep law, statutes, and commandments. Let's read.
Verse 18. Therefore the Most High was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
That is telling. So technically it was the 9.5 tribes. Why do I say 9.5? Because they split Levi in half. And Judah, the southern kingdom, was Judah and Benjamin together as one. And you had half of the tribe of Levi with them. And when they broke off, they wanted to set up Bethel, and they wanted some priests, so they took some priests with them. As you'll see as we move on in a moment, they took some priests with them. And even though they didn't listen to the priests, they began to set up the more weakest and the most perverted people to be priests with these priests, corrupting themselves. And so they say 9.5 because mathematically that's 10 tribes. And 2.5 mathematically is 3 tribes. Okay, let's read on.
Verse 19. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Most High, their Abba Yahweh, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, king.
All right, so he said that he rent the northern kingdom from the house of David. How did they do that? The kingdom was split with Jeroboam. All right, continue.
And Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Most High and made them sin a great sin. Verse 22. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them, until the Most High removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants, the prophets.
And we know that the servants, the prophet, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Malachi, they was all talk. Hosea himself was talking to the northern kingdom. Get your act together, or the Most High is going to render you into obscurity. And he did. He followed up on what the prophet said. Read on.
Continuing in verse 23. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
Power. So when this was written, they said that they're still there till this day. There was no vast excursion out, taking millions of people on rickety rafts, thousands of miles on ocean. Absolute fantasy world. It took hundreds of years to get the transatlantic slave trade under wraps, and many people died on that, moving it across. But they had professional ships, professional navigators.
Yeah.
They had all type, and they knew the winds, they knew all of that. So it's saying here that they are there to this day. All right, let's read on.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 24.
So we need to find out, where are they? Where exactly are they? Let's read.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon.
Why? Because he took Israel to Babylon. All right, this was part of this Babylonian and Assyrian division. He took over. All right, so he took men out of Babylon, and who else?
And from Hutah, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim.
All right, now all of these are places in modern Iraq and northern Iran. Each one of these places can be looked up. This is Iraq, this is Iran. What is this? The Persian Empire, Babylonian Empire, but the Assyrians took all of that. And they began to bring the people from those lands, as Israel got placed in their land, to do what? Let's read.
And placed them in the cities of the Samaria instead of the children of Israel.
Are you paying attention? Took the children of Israel, northern kingdom, out of Samaria, and then brought Babylonians over, brought North Iranians over. All right? Brought these Euro-Asians over. Samaria is right there still in our ancient land. Brought some other people over, Gentiles. Let's read.
And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. Verse 25. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Most High. Therefore the Most High sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the Abba of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the Abba of the land.
All right, let's pay close attention again. They said that these transients, when y'all colonized the land, these people didn't know the God of the land. So Abba Yahweh sent lions to slay us. What are you going to do, king of Assyria? I know you want us there to populate it. So what did they come up with? Let's read.
Verse 27. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom you brought from thence.
One of the priests that were with the 10 tribes that came out. Go get one of them. Go get one of those Levites that know law, statutes, commandments. Read.
And let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the God of the land.
Let's convert the Gentiles. Let's take these North Iranians, let's take these Babylonians, these Turkic people, and let's teach them how to be Jews. So now you find this first conversion. It's going to pop up. Make sure you make note of this. All right, you find this first conversion. when the Most High took Israel out. You find out where the 10 tribes went, but you also find who came in and replaced them. Let's read on.
Verse 28. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how they should fear the Most High.
So that Levite came and said, I know you Gentiles and I'm wicked, we off. This is what you got to do. Every morning you got to come with this. Here's the sacrifice. And there's a thing called Shabbat. It's the 7th day. And there's a thing called Passover. And there's a thing called Feast of Weeks, Feast of Unleavened Bread. He went and taught them everything. So for all intents and purposes, these people were like Jews.
John.
But they were Gentiles. Let's read.
Verse 29. Howbeit every nation made deities of their own and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men
every nation said, it's okay, we're going to now be Jew, but we're going to also do our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to conflate them together, and it's going to become a new thing. Let's read on.
Verse 30.
Now let's pay close attention to here. We're going to do a little translation.
And the men of Babylon made Succoth, Banath.
Now, Succoth sounds familiar, don't it? So the men of Babylon made Succoth, which means a building, a temple. Banath is Beth, or sister. So the men of Babylon made a sister temple, just like the northern kingdom did with Bethel. What was the brother temple? In Jerusalem. All right, so they made a secondary temple, and I will tell you in advance, it's still there to this day. Or remnants of it is still there to this day. This is that wall that they be on doing a madness on. It's not the one that was in Judea. This is the one that the northern kingdom, the Gentiles came and built up. All right, but I get beside myself. Let's continue to read on. And then it says, and the men of Babylon made what they took out? The word eth, which means covenant. All right, berith is not covenant, it's marriage. You may see them used together, this covenant of marriage, but he made a covenant to build a sister temple. Now let's read on.
Continuing in verse 30. And the men of Cuth made Nagal.
That don't even in English make sense. Men of Cuth made Nagal, what that mean? I don't know what that mean. They took out eth again. They made Nagal, which means lamps. And so the people of Cuth said, hey, I see what the priest's saying. You build a temple, I'll build the lamps. And I'll build the olive groves to get the oil and all of that. So they are fully embracing becoming a Jew, a Hebrew. And the Most High is orchestrating all at the death and demise of the real Jews. These are the people going to be standing saying, I am Jew. I am Jew. I've been Jew for 1,000 years. But we see their beginning. All right, let's read on.
And the men of Hamath made Ashima. Verse 31.
Now, Ashima again goes back to cakes and flagons of wine. So the people of Hamath made the cakes, flagon of wine, as the priest told them. And then others made the lamp for the oil for the lamps and the lamps. And then we have the men of Babylon with a covenant of building a sister temple. They're all resurrecting. And these are the people responsible for translating this. Of course, they're going to make it not make sense.
Yeah.
Just some benign talk, Nagal and Koth, and they made nothing. But now you clearly see them erecting a sister temple where you begin to see what we now know today as Talmudic practices, where they say trump biblical practices. Why? Because it's Babylonian Talmud. Why would you call anything that's Israel? Oh, I see. These are the men from Babel that were at least captive in Babel, now replacing the northern kingdom. And the northern kingdom was already wicked. They really forgot the customs. And they taught them what they remembered. Let's read on.
Verse 31. And the Evites made Nabhaz,
which is a way of saying prophets or seers. And then they took out the word eth. Read on.
And Tartak,
which is the princes, which means they made priests. So they made seers and priests, just like you would find King David with one of the seers. All right, read on.
And the Sepharvites burnt their children in a fire
And
of...
this is once again translated wrong. The Sarvites is a term for scribes. Those of the scribes became known as the children of fire. They didn't burn their children in fire. They became the children, the priests who burn the offering. So they have literally taken the course of David and copied the whole thing and begin to say, again, I am Jew. I am Jew. You know Jew? I'm Jew. Let's read.
Burnt their children in a fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods or deities of Sepharvaim.
All right, once again, the gods of the scribes telling you that they conflated them all together. They kept theirs, they mixed them all together. This is why you find them not in orthodox or a pure form of our Hebrew culture. It was this northern kingdom, perfunct, weak version of it. All right, they got topical things, but they never knew the flavor. They never knew the course, the meaning of it, the depth of it, the distillation and the spirit of it. All right, let's read on.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 32. So they feared the Most High and made unto themselves of the lowest of them priests of the high places.
So this fear don't mean that they reverence the Most High. It's just simply they started worshiping him. And you know it ain't correct because they made the lowest of men priests.
Yep.
Right? Meaning it was a low-paying job that nobody wanted. It was like, picking up paper on the street somewhere on the side of the highway. You had to force men to come in there and do that. Instead of the epitome and that higher thought process that should have came into it, the intelligentsia of Israel was brought forth, men like Daniel. All right? So many great men were put forth at the highest because who was going to receive it? The highest, the Most High. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 32. Which sacrificed for them in the houses of the high places. They feared the Most High and served their own deities.
There it is. So they feared the Most High, but at the same time, they feared their own deities. So once again, conflating paganism with our Hebrew culture, which they do to this day. Let's read.
After the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. Unto this day they do after the former manners. They fear not the Most High, neither do they after their statutes, or after their ordinances, or after the law and commandment which the Most High commanded the children of Jacob.
All right, jump down to the 41st verse, and if you give me St. John 4, verse 5. Once again, I said it, we have to be thorough. I don't want to just jump to Armageddon and somebody just run out of here feeling good and not doing anything. You have to be fully intellectually equipped to be ready to prepare yourself, because what you're charged to do is astronomical. It's great. It's amazing. It's going to take a lot of spiritual energy to unmask what the Heavenly Father wants you to do. You got to have faith. And those who know what faith is, it doesn't come easy. As the scriptures say, the Most High give the special gift of faith. Special. Not an easy thing. Special to those who do his will. Let's jump down to 41.
2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 41. So these nations feared the Most High and served their graven images, both their children and their children's children, as did their fathers. So do they unto this day.
So do they till this day. So he's saying, as I'm writing this book of Kings, in Samaria are people from the Assyrian Empire, North Iranian, Turkic people from that Euro-Asia place. They came into Samaria and they dwelt there until this day. Now let's move over to the first century during the time of Malach Zadok, Jesus Christ, of Yeshua, and see if they still are dwelling there. If they're still dwelling there, during that time, the children of Israel, the 10 tribes, are still dwelling in their land as well. Let's get it in St. John 4, verse 5.
Then cometh he to a city of Samaria.
Same Samaria that we just read about. That was the possession of the northern kingdom that Shalmaneser put Gentiles there and got priests to teach them how to be Hebrews. And they believed that they were Jews. And so now we find the Messiah coming to Samaria. Read.
Which is called Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Yahushua therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. And Yahushua said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Then the Messiah, Yahushua, answered and said unto her.
So she came to him saying, You being a Jew, me being of the northern kingdom, I may be from Asher, Gad. You know what? I'm Zebulun. How you of the southern kingdom, Judah, asking me of the northern kingdom to get you some water? We at war with each other, buddy. We don't vibe like that. Let's read.
Then the Messiah answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of Abba Yahweh, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou would have asked of him, and he would have given you the living water.
So he said, if you knew exactly who you was talking to, if you really knew Scripture, like a 10-tribe person should know, you would have recognized who I was. You would have gave me water, and I would have gave you living water. Let's read.
And the woman said unto him,
I would have baptized you and brought you into this covenant, and you would live to Abba, as mentioned in Deuteronomy, been close to the Heavenly Father. Continue. Call the chapter and verse.
John 4:11. Then saith the woman unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water?
So, speaking of water, her consciousness was shallow, very shallow. She didn't know what he was talking about because she was Gentile-centric. All right, there's something about it that they were not given that depth to be the forerunner of this knowledge of the Heavenly Father, nor the covenant of the Heavenly Father. It is their job to actually assist and be a part of it as prophesied. All right? And so she now is once again, and the disciples thought the same thing, you know, but he gave them understanding. She's saying, you don't even have anything, a bucket to get this water out of. How are you going to give me living water? Let's continue.
The 12th verse. Art thou greater than our father Jacob?
Look at her. Are you greater than Jacob, my father? I'm a Jacobite. I'm from Asher. Let's read.
Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? And the Messiah answered and said unto her, Whoso drink of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life.
So he's saying this water will quench the physical thirst. Mine will quench the spiritual thirst. Those who thirst for righteousness, they will receive everlasting life, and they will never thirst for righteousness ever again. Read on.
The 15th verse. And the woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. And the Messiah answered and said unto her, Go call thy husband and come hither.
So he said, I'll give you this. Go get your husband first. All right, go get the head so I can talk to him. I'll convert him, and then he'll bring you in, and we'll bring both of you in. All right, read on.
And the woman answered and said, I have no husband.
I don't have a husband. What are you talking about? I'm single. Let's read.
And the Messiah said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband, but thou hast had 5 husbands.
Put it on Front Street. No, you said, well, you don't have one because you got so many, they're all over the place. Meaning you've been with this man, this man, this man. You've been in 5 of them. That was an insult back then. Today, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
My body count is only 5. And so, but back then, it was, you have had many, many men. And she was amazed. Read.
And he whom thou now hast is not thy husband.
And the dude, this side dude you messing with, ain't your husband. And she was pricked, because he's going all into her life. Read on.
And that saidest thou truly.
So he said, what you said is true, because the man you with, you committing adultery or some form of wicked act with. Let's read.
And the woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive thou art a prophet.
So she agreed. I perceive you a prophet. You done went into my life. You done learned everything. You done said everything that I've been through. Now she goes back with this Israelite veneer that she put upon herself. Let's read.
Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship?
Who's she talking about? Those Gentiles, as you'll see in a moment, that placed her there. All right. Our fathers told us, the Levites said that we had Bethel in Samaria. So why are you telling the northern kingdom to come to Judea to worship? That's not what our priest told us. What did the Messiah say?
The Messiah answered and said, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father.
Woman, believe me, you're not going to be here in Samaria, and you're not going to be in Judea. That's not your job. He's now telling her, you are a transient. You are a product of colonization. You won't be there. That's not your job. Read on.
Ye worship, ye know not what.
You don't know what the hell you worshiping. Them Levites came and told you some crap, and your parents told you some crap. You guys are the beginning of what is now known as the Khazars. This is the beginning of them. And the Messiah, this is why they don't believe in him. Because he cut their ancestors to the bone. Literally seeing them saying, you don't know a damn thing. You won't be in Samaria, and you won't be in Judea. You won't be none of these places. The priest will be here, but not you. And he's specifically talking about them. And if time affords us, we're going to talk about why they won't be there. Oh, all nations will be coming and have their Nethinims bringing their oblations and whatnot, but these guys will not be there. All right, let's read.
Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
So, telling her point blank, you're not a Jew, you're not of the kingdom. Salvation is of the Hebrews, not of you transients, not of you colonizers, not of you people who have been placed there by Shalmaneser during the Assyrian campaign. All right? You could be there. It's just like that little argument they give about Egypt. You got these Arabs talking about, I am son of King Tutmos. I am. I visit the place and everybody was talking, yes, it's running through my blood. My forefather built that pyramid. Laughing the whole way through it. Once again, transients that came through during the Ottoman Empire. It's clear history. And they're arguing about they were not black, they were Arab. If you believe in the Bible, if you are a Christian and you believe in the Bible, Mizraim is a son of Ham. All of your scholars tell you that Ham is the father of the dark nations. Ham can't have all these dark nations, and then Mizraim is the only one that came out Arab-like. Now, we do know that the Greeks and the Romans did take over. They are another group that came and took them over. And Cleopatra, the latest one, was indeed a European. But she took a name of ancient Cleopatras that were all black. So let's not say all Cleopatras were black. No, the last one was indeed a European. But once again, this is just like I went on this Cherokee reservation. I was like, I'm about to see some true Native Americans. I'm about to see some real history. I see Brad Pitt with 2 ponytails talking about how. Who the hell is this? Again, colonizers. I found one, literally one. Now, I don't know if it was an off day, they had a little casino or something going. It was one. I was like, yo, my man, where are all the natives? Man was scared. Shook, like, don't ask me that. Don't ask me that. The money will stop flowing in. That type of scare. He didn't say that, but that's what it looked like. They here. What are you talking about? Eyes all googly. They here. Look around. They all over. And then I went to other reservations, maybe Rosebud or something like that, In the Dakota, those are where they are. But they all broke down. Everybody's alcoholic, trashed out. But Cherokee Reservation looked like a really high-end neighborhood. Colonizers again, running in, claiming to be Egyptians, claiming to be, this is what they do. This is what they have done. And now we see it in Samaria. They did it way back. All right? Let's keep reading on.
23. But the hour cometh and now is when the true worshipers.
Check that out. Not you offsprings of Shalmaneser, Syrian empire. The true worshipers are going to come. And how are they going to come?
They shall worship the Father in spirit
There
and in
it
truth.
is. Going back to Ezra. They're going to have a spiritual temple, and they're going to enter into the spirit, not a physical temple. And they shall worship him in spirit by way of Malach Zadok, also known as the truth. He's the high priest over the entire operation. So now Malach Zadok, Yeshua, Yahushua is coming, telling them how the saints, the sons, shall be born in the earth and bring that great cataclysmic affair that Ezra is prophesying. Let's finish that up, priest.
For the Father seeketh such to worship him. The Abba is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
So he concludes to the woman, again, a Samaritan, not a true Samaritan, but a convert, a transplant, letting you know that in the first century, even in the first century, they were still there perceiving. Now, she wasn't like trying to con him or nothing. We just, many generations have transpired that her forefathers told her that she was Northern Kingdom.
Yeah.
And so she thoroughly believed this, just like a lot of them believe today. Now, the experts know, the archaeologists know, the ones that go and dig up bones and excavate and do all kind of DNA analysis, that ain't us. Hush your mouth, close your mouth. Well, you want to stay living, close your mouth. And then they just go on with the narrative that whoever is claiming to be the Jew is the Jew. All right, we're going to go back to 2 Ezra 13. Again, the class is called Armageddon. We haven't talked about Armageddon because there's so much back to understand the actors, the evil actors that are going to be playing their part to bring forth what is biblically called Armageddon. All right, 2 Ezra 13:44.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asherah.
All right, so the Most High stayed the flood, all right, held back the waters we read earlier, the waters of Euphrates, Tigris and Euphrates, so that they can go over into the Assyrians' land, the Persian and Medo area, which is now called India, which is now called Iran, all of those places. This is where they went. Let's read.
And they dwelt there until the latter times, and now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the streams again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace.
So as the Most High stayed the flood for them to go out and go into these lands, go into Iran, India, and as you'll see, northern Iran. All right, you find these 10 tribes over there intermingling with the nations. They look like the nations. All right. And so he said he stayed the water. He said, but when the peaceable multitude came, he's going to stay the water again. Can we find this in prophecy? Let's get Revelations, Priest Rashim, 16, verse 12. Again, I reiterate, when you read in Revelation, and Abba willing, in the prophecy class on the city of Adam, we're going to be going through it, piecing it together. Very, very mysterious, very enigmatic, a puzzle of prophecy to bring together. The 7 churches, 7 seals, the 4 horses, the 3 woes, the vials, the trumpets, etc., are all talking about each one. If it's the 5th seal, it's the 5th millennium. If it's the 5th trumpet, it's the 5th trumpet that's going to be blown in the 5th millennium. If it's the 5th vial, it's the 5th vial that's going to be poured on the kingdoms of the 5th millennium. All right, so let's go Revelation and talk about our millennium. What is our millennium? The 6th. 6th millennium. It's actually a beautiful time and an evil time to be born in.
God.
It is evil because it's dark, and the scriptures prophesied that we shall know nothing. It shall be the valley of the dry bones, so dry that Ezekiel said, I don't know if they can ever live. But it's a sweet time because in that millennium, you're going to see salvation. If we was born in the 3rd or the 4th, yeah, okay. It's going to be rough.
Gonna be a minute.
Absolutely. But the 6th, it's a beautiful time, actually. All right, let's read Revelation 6, verse 12, regarding the 6th angel that is over the 6th millennium.
And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates.
Check that out. As prophesied in Ezra, the Most High is going to crack that same Euphrates Tigris open. He's going to begin to bring the 10 tribes back so that they can join with Judah in the oblations. Let's read it again.
And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
That the 10 tribes, the kings of the east, may come and join Judah with the sun, the oblations, is what he's talking about. How can this happen if they are in Guatemala? If they're in Mexico? If they're Reuben down in Florida? You are distorting and hurting prophecy. You're bringing people into the covenant. You're not even bringing them into the covenant, but you put them in places that they should not be. That's tantamount to an Israelite going out saying, I'm a Christian. You're in a place where you should not be, bruh. You're supposed to be priests, porters, holy singers. Now you got people who are ethnically Goyim or Gentile saying, thus said the Lord, I'm a priest. And they're reaping damnation to themselves. You're hurting them. This is not racism. You're hurting them. They need to know their position. They got room to be kings and mighty men governing their whole realm. Bishops, deacons, and even greater, as we'll get to in the city of Adam. Some great things are pronounced upon those of the nations that become covenant bearers, and the Heavenly Father has a great position for them. Mighty one. We'll talk about that in the city of Adam.
And,
but let's
if
go
I
ahead.
say this, and they can't see beyond that because they're too busy saying they're going into captivity and slavery. So when this is brought forth to you, your understanding is like, I don't understand what you're talking about. They're going into slavery. Kings, rulers, leaders. Nah, that's not prophecy, but it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's actually, believe it or not, the least of things. Everybody in your organization, none of them are working that tree of life. They're not mustering up the oil. They're not putting oil within the lamps. They may claim to engage in Passover, but you're doing what the Assyrians were doing because you learned it from them. Judah had already gone into captivity. Or 70 AD, 65 AD, came across 70 AD, the absolute expulsion of the Hebrews. And who was manifested on the scene? Those people from the Assyrian campaign. All right, Samaria. They were projected up as the true Jew. All right, and what did they have? They had all kind of Gentilic knowledge infused with our Hebrew doctrine. And they failed. And anybody picking that crap up is failing. That's why the stuff we're bringing out, the Khazars only wish, like they are Jewish, and they wishing to be Jew. They wish they can engage in this calendar.
Yeah.
They're scratching their head like, why we didn't know about that? Some men want to reflect each other. Why we didn't know about the 2 Ten Commandments?
Yeah.
Just like the Messiah would say, I got water for you to drink of that you would never thirst. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Let me get you a bucket so you can give me some of this water. Didn't know the spiritual ramifications of what he was talking about. All right, let's get back into, let's read 12th verse again. 16 verse 12.
And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
So that those 10 tribes can come out of Iran, so that they can come out of India, so they can come out of all of those lands in Eurasia. All right? So they can come out back to where the fight is and be a part of this covenant. All right, but what was stopping them? Let's read.
Verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs.
He saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. We talked about this. Why frogs? Why not a deer? Why not a cricket? Why not a bat? Why not swine? Let's read.
Come out of the mouth of the dragon.
They was coming out of the mouth of the dragon. What do frogs do? They croak, absolutely. All day, all night. Croak. What did that mean? He called them frogs because that's what they do against you all day. They break law, they killing each other, selling drugs, fornication, idolatry. In their courthouse, coming to the court of the Most High nonstop like bullfrogs.
Yeah.
Or like a heavy prosecutor. You think that they ain't up there? They up there. Nonstop. And anybody from the South that got water around them, you be wanting to do something to them frogs. Especially you tired and you need to sleep and they just be croaking.
All night.
You ready to get the shotgun and bow. And blast a couple of them and hope that they learn. But they do not stop. All right? They do not. Just like you're not going to stop them from croaking. So the beast croaking, accusing you in the court of the Most High nonstop. He is the accuser of the brethren as mentioned in Revelation 12 chapter. Day and night, nonstop. And so that lets you know that you can never not show up. That is to your detriment. And I often say it because it's so true. They learned it from the spiritual apparatus operating in the spiritual realm. If you don't show up to court, you get accused and you're guilty. Just like right now, don't show up to court. You are guilty by default.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're innocent. You are guilty. Didn't show up to defend yourself. So this is why we need a robust priesthood there day and night. Standing forth with Malak Zadok, making sure that no accusation turned into sin. All right, let's read 13 again.
And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon.
Who's the dragon? Satan. All right, he's the one that empowers the beast. Let's read.
And out of the mouth of the beast.
Who's the beast? It is that beast that has 7 heads, which was the 7 governments that ensnared and enslaved the saints. And it had 10 horns. After Rome fell, it broke into many pieces, but there were 10 of them that understood that if we subdue the Israelites, engage in captivity, put them in slavery, the law, statutes, and commandments state that the Gentiles that are amongst these shall get up very high, and you shall get down very low. Mm-hmm. So they turned around and said, if I'm the Gentile near these Hebrews, we shall get very high, and they shall be our slaves. That's why they boldly entered into the transatlantic slave trade, because they knew it was their manifest destiny. We was breaking law, statutes, and commandments, but they manipulated the scene, took away all of our history, put trespasses in front of you, gave you chitlins and hog maws, knowing you was breaking law, statutes, and commandments, gave you Christmas instead of Passover, instead of Feast of Weeks. All of this is to ensure that they stay in power. We were completely, utterly helpless. And when you ate that chitlins, and when you engaged in Christmas, they was there like frogs. They eating chitlins. They eating Christmas. Frogging it out. And we thought there was just holy singing at a Catholic church or something. They was accusing you, and they still accusing you. Mm-hmm. Let's read on.
And out of the mouth of false prophets, other false prophets.
Look at this. Get Revelation 3:9 real quick. We're not going to go there, but Revelation 3:9 speak about our church. Remember, every number that's 6 vials, 6 seals, 6 covenant, all of that appertaining to our great week, 20 weeks, Jubilee weeks, 1,000 years, as the Greek call it, millenniums. So what happened to the church of the 6th millennium? Let's read it. And what was that church? Remember, the 7 candlesticks are 7 churches of the 7,000 years, and there's an angel over each one. What is the 6 candlesticks or the church of the 6,000 year? Let's read it real quick.
Revelations 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
Start a little earlier.
The angel of the church of Philadelphia.
There it is. So now we have the church of Philadelphia, which is the 6th church. Anybody from Philly should know what it means. It's the church of brotherly love. Even though in Philadelphia ain't no love, none whatsoever, killing each other all over the place. But this church that's coming up is going to be the church of brotherly camaraderie, brothership, because they're coming together as a family. Northern kingdom, southern kingdom coming together. All right, let's read.
These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David.
So in the sixth church, the sixth millennium, they're going to get access to the covenant of David. This is a beautiful thing about the sixth millennium. He didn't say that about the fourth. He didn't say that about the third. He didn't say it about the fifth, even though he came in the fifth. He said it about you and I in the sixth. We're going to be called the Church of Philadelphia, and he's going to open the covenant of David for us. Let's read on.
He that openeth, no man shutteth.
And when he opened the covenant of David, there ain't a soul on this earth that can do away with it. There ain't no soul that can say, shut that down. That stuff, you don't have access to that. Hasatan cannot say, you don't have access to that. Because Malak Zadok opened it up for us. He spilt his blood upon it, consecrated it, and it's available for us now. Read on.
And shutteth, and no man openeth.
And so if he shut it down, there's not a soul on the earth can force it open. But we know it's open now to the Church of Philadelphia. Let's read.
I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it.
So he said that door to the covenant is open for you, and nobody can shut it down. Anybody talking about the new covenant is not here is buck wild, crazy out of their consciousness. Mm-hmm. He said it's open for you. It's open, and nobody can shut it. The only person that can shut it is Hasatan shutting your mind, your perception, making you believe that it's not open. But it's open. Let's read.
But thou hast a little strength.
He said, I know how hard it is being in the sixth millennium. You're going to be known as Negroes. You're going to be known as Jamaicans. You're going to be known as Africans and African Americans. You're going to be known as Haitians. You're going to be looked at as trash. But you got a little strength left. And the Most High knows with that little strength, he's going to give you something that's achievable. He wouldn't turn around and tell these miscreants to go and build in Jerusalem this golden city. It will never get done.
No.
We can barely get a little house or a car or barely get basic things here, especially collectively. He's going to make it achievable for people of low degree that has a little strength. And that's us. Let's read.
For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name.
Have not denied the name. We know what the name is. The blessing is the Most High will put his name upon you, and you will become his children, and he will become your Abba. People are looking for a phonetically sounding name. The name is I'm in the covenant. Now, you could take the name of the Most High in vain. You could enter into this covenant and be like, hell with high holy day. The hell with the hell with. Now you took the name in vain. But if you marry Abba Yahweh, he places his name upon you like a bride. All right, and like a bride, her and her husband are one. You see her, you see him, you see him, you see her. You see her gathering stuff, she's gathering for the home. You see him gathering stuff, he's gathering for the home. And us gathering the oil right now is gathering it for the home. Call the verse.
Revelations 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
Check this out. In the sixth millennium, the false prophet or the false people of Samaria of the synagogue of Hasatan going to do what?
Which say they are Jews.
Which say they are Jews, all in Samaria, saying, our fathers worshiped at this mountain. I'm a Jacobite. I'm a Naphtaliite. I am a Jew. They say and confess that they are Jews. Read.
And are not.
They're not Jews. They're not. They're not Cherokee Indian either. They're none of that. Transient interlopers, they are taking on the nations or everybody else's greatness, I should say. But in this particular point, we see it clearly. The Assyrians put them there. And they began to learn what the priests taught them, and they carried that on even after our demise. Now, what's going to happen to these people? Let's read.
But do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
They're going to confess that we're no Jew, and you're the Jew, please bring our sacrifices for us to Abba Yahweh. Truth will increase in that day, and that day is upon us, brothers and sisters. As I told you, the scriptures say, you shall know them by their fruit. If they bring forth death and killing and carnage, you're now seeing the covenant of Cain. If they bring forth a desire, a deep desire to worship Abba, and Abba is giving them truth, giving them insight, giving them true 10 commandments, telling them the true covenant of David, all of these things in this 21st century you can Google, but you would never find. The only people stand out when you Google that, if you look further, House of Wisdom. House of Wisdom. This is proof positive that we are the children of the Most High Abba Yahweh. Finish that, priest.
The 10th verse, because thou hast kept my word, that thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast which thou hast, that no man taketh thy crown.
All right, we're going to stop right there because we're going to go into the rest of it in part 2, Abba willing. Let's drop that. Let's go back to where we were. And we'll pick it up in Revelation 16 real quick and read the 13th verse again.
Revelation chapter 16 and verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
All right, so not only the dragon, Satan, but the nation, 7 heads, 10 horns, but also the false prophet, the one falsifying being a Jew, is having these frogs in their mouth. All right, all of them working together. Every last one of them. I will tell you quickly that modern Christianity has tried to steal our new covenant, and they of Judea has tried to steal our old covenant, leaving us in the middle no man's land to come up with some eccentric, made-up new stuff. But the Most High is reclaiming all of it. Let's continue.
Verse 14. For they are the spirit of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Abba Yahweh Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame.
So we know that the garments is the righteousness of the saints. Blessed are them that walk circumspect, unless you are naked like the children of Israel, casting off Abba Yahweh, casting off their covering, and walking in Ha-Satan. He said, constantly stay in your covenant, always. Read on.
Verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
All right, we're going to pause on Armageddon because we still have a lot of backstory to cover. But he's letting you know that all nations are going to come against that son in 2nd Ezra 13. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra 13. And they're going to try to fight against them. And this is that great act called Armageddon. All right, this is that great act. But the Heavenly Father saying, I'm equipping you. I'm going to get you ready. I'm going to get you ready. Don't have any fear. You're going to win this one. 2nd Ezra 13:48.
But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain.
All right, he's letting you know that Abba Yahweh is going to defend them in this great cataclysmic event called Armageddon. All right, we're going to drop 13th chapter. I finished that. We're going to skip over to 14. This is Ezra crying out to Abba Yahweh, and pick it up when the Most High respond to him in the 15th chapter in the first verse.
Bear with me for a minute. 15.
2nd Ezra 15, and yeah, verse 1.
Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith Abba Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, and let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speaketh against thee, for all the unfruitful shall die in their unfaithfulness, or the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled.
So the Heavenly Father is saying that there's going to be a level of wickedness, and when that level of wickedness have reached its peak, he's going to begin to visit the earth. You will begin to see him calling all these nations together. All right, let's read on.
Therefore saith Yahweh, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually.
How is it that the souls of the just are complaining? How is it? Through an oblation, they are accusing them. All right, we see it in Revelation, the same thing. They say, how long, Abba? Are you going to let these people kill your people? He said, rest a little bit. Some more got to die. Then I'm going to bring that vengeance upon them. And so when we give these oblations and we say, make your requests known, you are now not just praying, Abba, give me health and give me strength. Well, you're saying, look at what they're doing to your earth, Abba. Mm-hmm. Look at what they have done to your water. Look at what they're doing to the so-called Middle East. Look at what they're doing to our brothers in Africa. Complain. Let's read.
The 9th verse. And therefore saith Yahweh, I will surely avenge them.
All right. The Most High said, I will avenge them. Your voice have been heard. Keep crying out in every oblation. In Luke 18, he speaks about we're not going there, speaks about the old woman who petitioned the judge. The judge would not hear her at first, but he kept doing it. He's like, hey, this woman troubled me. Go ahead and deal with the people that coming against her. That was a parable by the Messiah to say, never stop praying and asking Abba to avenge you. Let not Satan convince you that accusing him of his wickedness is wrong. Nothing wrong with that. Accuse him day and night. All right, we're going to jump down to the 13th verse.
They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful consolation.
All right, make sure you highlight that, because it's going to begin to talk about this fearful constellation that people will talk about. You in witchcraft. You into the zodiacs. We're not into zodiacs. We understand that the Most High got angels over every star in heaven, and everything moving is for a purpose. The Most High speak about the Mazzaroth, or the constellation of Arcturus, which is the bear. He speak about that of a leopard. He speaks about Orion. All of these things in heaven has an influence upon man. This is why when somebody is crazy, full moon is there, they call them lunatic. Because of the radiating force that Enoch told us coming upon them, whether the cursed wind or blessed wind, controlling them. So the Most High is saying their constellation has come. And it's going to influence them to do some things. We need to be aware of it. Let's read on.
The 14th verse. Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein.
When that constellation comes, woe to the world. Their time is up. Because that is a fearful constellation. You cannot prevent what the Most High has raining down upon that earth. Let's continue.
For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
So you will begin to see a lot of military campaigns and scrimmages. You begin to see people not regarding their sovereignty. You'll see people saying, Ukraine is there, I don't care, I'm coming to take this. And you're going to see people saying, hey, you're not going to take it, war. You're going to be seeing the Palestinian conflict and all kind of things happening in the Sahel of Africa. You're going to begin to see precipitously people saying this ain't happening because they can't control, they can't help themselves.
Yeah.
They have a fearful constellation over them saying, go to war. Go to war. Stand up for yours. And that's what's coming upon them. And other times, you could sit back and say, ain't nobody going to use a nuke. Ain't nobody going to war because that constellation is not upon you. People are looking at tranquility. They're worrying about the stock market and money and success and houses and marriages. But when this constellation come upon you, it's go to war.
Yeah.
Let's read on.
And a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to.
And so we can look at the macrocosm. You may want to leave this country. Somebody say, you ain't paid your taxes. You ain't going to get a passport. You can't leave. You ain't pay your child support. You can't leave. Or they may say, you're in Gaza. You can't leave. We control anything going in, out, Gaza, West Bank. And as I said from the onset, if they pull that stuff here, you would have pure anarchy.
Yeah.
They did it in South Africa. It was called apartheid. And we praised Nelson Mandela. He was a right man, but we look at the Palestinians like, terrorist. Terrorist. And so these are resistant fighters. These people are resisting oppression and tyranny. But they have convinced our people that these people are ISIS. They are religious zealots when these people just want a fair life.
Yeah.
They want a fair life despite the colonizers coming over there taking land, got nothing to do with them. All right, let's go back to the prophecies. It states that people are going to want to go places and you're not going to be able to go there. And another binder, I should say before we read on, is you're not going to be financially able to go nowhere. Some people don't leave because they're just too broke.
Yeah.
Can't go nowhere. Been in this little town all my life.
Never been out of it.
Never been out of it. I'm already 70. I ain't going nowhere now. Born there, you die there. All right. But we're now focusing on things like accepting what's happening in Palestine. You literally have the West Bank. You literally have Gaza where these people cannot leave. And when you stay, you're dodging missiles. This is a daily occurrence with them. And it's accepted. This is normalized. This inhumane act and deeds, Christians look at it like they had it coming. They had it coming. You got U.S. sitting senators talking about level that place. Kill them all. You're supposed to be a civilized society. Looks quite brutish to me.
Yeah.
Real brutish. And then they'll talk about some war crimes afterward. It's a little slap on, don't do that no more, Israel. Don't do that no more. After they took all the land. You know it's a land grab. I know I'm going on a tangent, but if you saw them coming in from the north, they're coming in from the north. There's a reason they're coming in from the north. They already passed out leaflets saying, leave the north. Where you going? To the south. What's the south? Border to Egypt. All right, putting pressure on the top, just push you on out of there. Get on out, go to Egypt. And there's not ever a Palestinian that leave that ever come back. You're in a tough position. Stay and die, and some of you live, and some of you get to keep the land, or leave and never see your land ever again. There's nearly 1 million people, I think they call it the Nekbak, that got pushed out in the 60s. Nearly 1 million people, they ain't never been back. Never been back. But if you are a Jew, you got the right of return. You can come back anytime you want, get dual citizenship, free as that. But they're pushing these people out. It's called a land grab, and people are saying it's A-OK. And as the military go in, watch, I bet you're going to be settlers behind. This is my land. This is mine. They're notorious about that. Oh, this is mine. This is mine. We're taking all of it as they leave. So you're seeing prophecy playing out right before us. Let's read on.
18th verse. Because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Have you seen any of the footage of what's happening out there? You know, if it was a righteous place and these people were righteous, you know, this would have never went down. Right. Because when Hamas broke off the reservation, they went on the Shabbat and they was raving it up. They was getting it in. It looked like Woodstock back in the 60s. They was just dancing. I thought you was in Israel, and the Shabbat is a day that you rest from all your stuff. If these people were righteous, they would have got there and be like, ain't nobody here. We got to try again next week. But because only 30% of these people are practicing, they was, fodder, all right, shooting fish in a barrel. Because on the Shabbat, and it's supposed to have been one of their high holy days. I don't know which one, maybe it's one of those Talmudic days, but you're out raving it up. That land needs to have a worthy colony seated in it. And that land will not react to wicked people in a godly way. We already saw when the Assyrians put them in there in the first place, all kind of death came upon them. Yeah. And it's still happening to this day. All right, let's read on.
The 19th verse. A man should have no pity upon his neighbor.
Check that out. They have no pity upon their neighbor. That's happening here. It's happening all around the world. But we see it personified. When they talk about the Palestinian, we have them calling them human animals that will be treated as such. They're going deep into it, talking about how these people are pests, how these people will be eradicated. It will be a tent city when we finish. God asked them about the babies that are being killed over there. This Khazar replied, well, you just got to give a damn about some babies? I don't care about that. Okay. He just went on this is a sitting diplomat. It was like he was talking to a thug on the street. This is the disdain they have for these people. And it's because the constellation is upon us right now. Let's read.
A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the thing that they have done unto them.
That Libanus is Lebanon. So it gives us some focus. But he's not talking about Europe. He's not talking about Russia. He's talking about right there in the old city. The Father's saying this Armageddon is going to happen right there. This is where all nations are going to be brought together, and you're going to begin to see this fighting in this area, or that's one of the areas. All right, let's read on.
Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen.
So what they are doing to you, the chosen, the Father said, like he did in Egypt when they killed all the firstborn, when he gave Pharaoh's children to be put to death. He said, I'm going to do the same thing they did to you. I'm going to do it to them. Let's read on.
So will I do also, and recompense in their bosom, saith Abba Yahweh. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth.
All right, let's get straight to it in the 28th verse. All right, those taking notes, definitely want to highlight this version right here, because now we're about to get into some of the actors, the evil actors. There's going to be a part of this. Let's read.
Behold, an horrible vision, and an appearance thereof from the east.
Going back to what is now falsely called the Middle East. All right, a horrible vision about what's going to happen in Lebanon, Syria, West Bank, modern Israel. Read.
Where the nations of the dragon of Arabia.
And we're going to bring this out when we talk about every nation. Every nation has a symbolic animal of it. If it's Israel, everybody know, the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel. All right, but now we see Arabia dragons. There are some that are jackals and dogs. All right, but the Most High now clearly calls him, this Armageddon is going to have the Arabs involved. All right, Arabs are going to be involved. Let's read.
Whereas, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
As I told you before, if the Khazars, if just America say we're not back and we through with this, it's over. The state of Israel is through. It is over. What is it, about 2 million of them? 3 million? You got about 200 million of these Arabs all over the place coming in. It's just, they know that the Goyim is their strength. But they talk as if they are some empowered people, great, wondrous, David, Solomon, when in all actuality, Most High is saying, I'm going to bring all that down too. You're going to see something. You're going to see something. The Arabs is going to gain all of that effect from that fearful constellation, and they're going to say it's time to go to war. They're going to forget about that 6-day war, that Yom Kippur thing that happened, and they're going to forget about that because they're going to have the advantage. Or at least they think they got the advantage. Let's read.
The 30th verse. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. And with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
Now we bring in Lebanon and Assyria, but it brings in a strange name, the Carmanians. Who are these Carmanians that are going to fight against the Arabian, the Arab, Ishmael armies? Who are these people? All right, let's go and look up the Carmanians, Carmania, and we'll get it out from, well, you got the first one, right? All right, let's read a little bit of that history. We're going to try to, it's a little bit, it's a mouthful. We're going to try to go through it.
Carmania.
Where are you getting this from?
Oh, this is coming from Encyclopedia Iranica.
Yeah, like they got Britannica, they got Iranica, because it's things that pertain to Iran, all right?
Carmania, a region east of Fars province, approximately equivalent to modern Kerman, the old Persian form.
So we now see what we heard about before. This is old Persia and Assyria. All right, this is Iran. All right, somebody out from that area who thought they was Jews are being spoken about. Let's read on.
The old Persian form is attested only once in inscriptions in DSF 35, where it is said that sisal wood, or wood of the jag tree, was bought from Gandhara and Carmania for Darius' palace at Susa.
All right, if you jump down to the second paragraph.
Starting with nothing.
Yes, come on.
Nothing specific is known about the boundaries of Carmania, which may have fluctuated throughout time.
So they will try to tell you that this was southern Iran. But in Iran, they tell you that these people fluctuated. Even though they got a territory called Karman, that's not where they are. These people were nomad. They was pastoral. They walked around with their sheep and all that all over the place. All right, let's read.
As it is never mentioned as a separate province in royal Achaemenid inscriptions, it is probable that it was considered part of Persis, at least under Darius I.
All right, so now talking about again that they were indeed in modern day Iran. The Persian Empire and the Syrian Empire have parts of Iran as well. All right, so let's jump down to the next paragraph. For time's sake, those who actually get this link, all of it is good. Thorough information that we're going to be bringing out when we bring out more on the Khazars. Let's read on.
Carmania was often mentioned in connection with Alexander's expedition, which opened up this land for the first time, but not much seems to have been known about its inhabitants. For the most part, only topai, curious, which is facts, and tedious list of names are provided. The Carmanians were a warlike people who are said to live and fight like the Medes and Persians, except that they used donkeys even in war because horses were so scarce.
All right, so you talk about how these people were great warriors. Skipped a little verse above that said they was cannibalistic. You know, they engaged in all kind of brutality, bestiality, all manner of grotesque warfare. All right, let's read on.
Let's see. A summary, a summary geographical description of Carmania was given by Strabo, and more topographical details on both the northern deserts and Carmania proper are found in Ptolemy.
All right, so we're going to end this piece with that, is that they have them in the northern deserts of Iran. All right, if we can bring up a map of the northern deserts of Iran. All right, if we can focus in the northern desert, we have a plethora of evidence supporting this, but we're going to get right into it. We have a country called Armenia, like Carmenia. And if we will go to Jewish Virtual Library and look up Armenia, we'll get more evidence on it. So these Carmenites, Carmenia, nomads, pastoral, going all through Iran, began to move about, going in and establish their own homeland, Armenia. Let's read.
Armenia, in Transcaucasia, historically its boundaries embrace a much wider area in different periods. The Armenian diaspora is scattered in many countries of the world.
And we're getting this from where?
This is coming from the Jewish Virtual Library.
So this is backed by modern Judea. Let's read on.
The Armenian diaspora is scattered in many countries of the world and still identifies its past history and future aspirations with the wider connotations of the term Armenia. Jewish historical, exegetical, and descriptive sources reveal knowledge of the variations in geographical area and history of this remarkable people. The fate and modes of existence of the Armenians have been compared in some essential features to those of the Jews.
So they're saying that the features of some of these Carmenians who made Armenia have features like modern Jews. Let's read on.
Much of the original Armenia is now the area of Kurdistan in Turkey. However, from the 7th to the 9th centuries, the Arab conquerors called the name Armenia a province which it included entire Transcaucasia with the cities of Barda. Now, Barda is the present
Azerbaijan. So we see all of this area, even going over into Turkey, because they were a Turkic people. You can bring that map back up, and you will see Armenia, and then you see Azerbaijan to the right of it, and then you see Turkey to the left. These people was in the area. If you look up the Assyrian Empire, all of this was Assyria. What did Assyria do? Took people out of his land and took them to Israel. And then they trained them, the priests trained them how to be a improper Jew. And so, time goes on and kingdoms began to move on. When the Greeks took over, these people began to migrate back to the land of their nativity. And what are the names that these Armenians took on? Let's read.
Now, Barda in the present Azerbaijan, where the governors mostly resided in Tiflis. The province is now also sometimes called Armenia in Eastern sources.
All right. And so this Tiflis was the capital of the country, Georgia, which was taken over by the Russians. We know USSR, and a lot of Russian Jews were a part. Matter of fact, Russia was founded on by a lot of these people that we're talking about now. Let me not say founded, but they was definitely infiltrated, right? And a lot of these people claim to hate, like Marx and all of that. And they call, Karl Marx. All these people were Khazars. They praise these people, but they hate the socialism that these people brought and all of that. But I digress. Who did these people call themselves, or what would they call?
The Khazars.
The Khazars.
There's the connection.
There it is. Now, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Trust me, we got a whole series dealing with irrefutable proof that these people that came out of Samaria, going back to their homeland, were called Khazars. Let's read.
The Khazars were sometimes credited with Armenian origin.
It was the origin of the Carmenians. Khazars are the Carmenians. Read on.
This is stated by the 7th century Armenian bishop and historian Sebios and the Arab geographer Dimashik. In the 13th and 14th centuries, the Crimea and the area to the east were known as...
We're getting this out of the Jewish library. This is them. They have already vetted. If this is anything anti-Semitic, they would have took it away. This is their scholars coming back saying, we know this is true, but we know that you don't read and you don't do thorough research. All right, so we're going to leave it in there for our scholars. Let's jump down to identification of Armenia in literature.
In the past, Armenia has been connected with the biblical Ashkenaz.
Check this out. What do they call themselves? Ashkenazi, absolutely, which is the greater portion of them. All right? And so they've been connected, the Carmenians, with Khazars and Ashkenaz. Let's read.
The Armenians are termed the Ashkenazi nation. In their literature, according to this tradition, the genealogy in Genesis chapter 10 and verse 3 extended to the populations west of the Volga.
All right, we're going to stop right there for time's sake, but I suggest anybody who's watching, definitely get the link and go and read all of it. Time will not permit us to go through all of it, but we made the connection. All right, and we're going to thoroughly, I will make the connection, not just with one source, but with dozens, if not hundreds of sources backing this. And so we know that our audience is smart, wise, sagacious, and they're able to put it together. We're not anti-Semitic. We're not besmirching anyone. We want to find out about Armageddon. We got Arabs fighting Khazars before this great conflict happens. You read about Armenians, they'll tell you we don't really know who they are. You know, they vanish into history. Yes, they say that they vanish into history. Let's also get the other link, Cimmerians, which is another Karaman or Karamenians that deal with them. Let's go ahead and get that.
Cimmerians, and this is coming from livius.org, articles on ancient history. Cimmerians, nomadic tribe living in Asia Minor in the 7th century BCE. The Cimmerians are known from several Assyrian texts, which call them Gamir or Gamirah.
So we have the Persians naming them, but now we have the Assyrians that placed them in Israel naming them. All right? Not Carmenians, but Cimmerians. Let's read on.
In the Assyrian language, the last name means something like people traveling back and forth.
Because they was coming from Samaria back to their homeland back and forth. Continue.
It seems to be the less adequate of the two renderings of the Cimmerians' Indo-European name, but it describes their way of life excellently because they were nomads. The Cimmerians were closely related and are archaeologically almost identical to the Scythians.
So we're going to be talking about the Scythians as we begin to talk about the nation. But for time's sake, I want to keep the Carmenian with the Khazars and the Cimmerians. All right, let's read on.
Who may have expelled them from their own home country. Originally, the Cimmerians may have lived in southern Ukraine.
Wait up. Is this another connection? Dots connecting? In southern Ukraine? Where at in southern Ukraine?
Where Crimea.
Crimea.
Oh, Lord.
Carmenians, Crimea. They began to set up home base in Ukraine. This is the second step. When they left these Turkic places and then they went into Armenia, they began to move in Crimea into Ukraine and became a buffer between the Byzantine Empire and the Russo armies. They was warlike people, but they kept the peace because you had to go through them to go war with your enemy. This is where all the conflict is happening now, in both places.
Yeah.
In Ukraine and in Assyria, Lebanon, Judea, where the Arabs and the Crimeas are duking it out. Absolutely. Very interesting times. Let's read on.
Where the Crimea is, according to some scholars.
You know what? For time's sake, we'll drop that. We'll go back to 2nd Ezra. As we said, those who want more on that, we're going to be breaking down every nation. And that may be boring to some because some people are not so studious and whatnot. And you got the whole list of names and times and dates and geographical areas. If you're interested in that, on the city of Adam, we're going to be dropping that. And we'll be talking about it all. And then we'll have the encapsulated versions for everybody else just, want that end result. All right, let's go back to 2nd Ezra 15. Let's pick it up, the earlier verse. Let's read all that again. What was that, 26?
Well, I left off in 30. Also,
okay, let's read 30 again, yeah.
Also,
actually, 29.
29. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
So it's talking about a united front, a united Arab front. They're going to say, we're going to put an end to this finally. It's not going to be no more picking off on our Palestinian brothers. Ain't going to be no more bombing Assyria. Ain't going to be no more of this and that and that. Not because they're sick and tired. It's because of the fearful consolation that the Most High has coming upon the land. So this is why the Messiah said, when you see this and you see that and you see that, know that that consolation is upon you. Let's read.
30. Also the Carmanians,
which we know emphatically are the Khazars. These Turkic people that was put in Syria, going back and forth, went back and established Armenia, left Armenia, went into southern Ukraine, Crimea, and then from there began to branch out, going back and forth, out throughout all Europe. And then obviously World War I, World War II, they set up a Jewish state. And now fully, officially, they are the people of the Most High. Let's read.
Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. With great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of Assyria.
All right, so the Khazars won't be no punk because they got Goyim behind them. They got nukes and they got all kind of armament. It's going to be a battle royale. It's going to be serious. It ain't going to be what America did in Iraq. You rolling down the road and you got some 12-year-olds throwing rocks at you. That is not how it's going to be. And then they're talking about Syria. Syria is backed by many countries, maybe even the BRICS nation, Russia and China, as Donald Trump would say, backed by many powerful, powerful countries. It seems like it is setting up to be something utterly amazing. And to be honest with you, if you're thinking like they think, America backed Ukraine, gave them billions and billions of dollars to fight on Russia's doorstep. Russia could turn around and say, this is going to be my Ukraine. I'm going to give Syria, Iran, Hamas, I'm going to give all millions of dollars to fight against your homie Israel, which is a proxy of America. This may fall out. It always happened like this. When Russia went into Afghanistan, America's right there saying, hey, take all these weapons. Yeah. Hey, what's your name? Osama bin Laden? Come take this weapon right here. Go fight against them. And when America went in, Russia came on and said, what's your name? Take all these weapons. Where do you think these guys get AK-47s from?
Yeah, Russia.
Kalashnikovs, they are Russian. All this weapon, the RPG, all that stuff is Russian. Wherever America go, like Vietnam, China and Russia was giving men and money and weaponry to the Viet Cong. And wherever Russia go fight, America go over there and start feeding the enemy. So if it happens this time, it very well could be playing out with what we're seeing right here. All right, let's read on.
31. Then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
Now he's telling us that the dragon, Arabia, shall get the ups on the Khazars. They shall finally have the advantage. Only when this happened in that fearful constellation. Read.
Remembering their nature.
They got to remember their nature. What is the nature of an Arab? This ain't racism. It's biblical. Genesis 16:11.
And the angel of the Most High said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael.
Ishmael, the father of the Arabian nation, a son of Abraham. Let's read on.
Because the Most High hath heard thy affliction, and he will be a wild man.
His nature is being buck wild. Buck crazy wild. He wants something, he strap up bombs to himself and blow up everybody.
Let's go.
He say his theme song. I'm not even going to say it, may get us banned. But when he screamed that, if you anywhere you hear that sound, exactly, hit the floor.
Yeah.
If he say it silently, like,
oh my God. Is that exactly?
It's over.
It's through. He got his 72 versions, and you got a brick in your head. All right. So they remember their nature. What is his nature that's going to overcome the Carmenians, the Khazarians? Read it again.
And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
It says the Arabs are going to always be into something. All right. This is not racism. This is what the Bible is saying. And so he's going to remember his nature going back to Ezra. Let's read that again. Read at 31.
2 Ezra 15:31. Then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them.
So if they remember their nature, and if they can stay away from their Sunni, Shia divisions and all of that other madness, if you can see them put that away, he's saying, y'all going to conspire together, y'all going to get it. Because divide and conquer is there too. Even the lands that they have, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Saudi Arabia, you know, you got people in Qatar fighting against Saudi. Y'all the same people. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
We got the British, we got the French coming in there splitting up that land. This is not how it was naturally. Yeah, you had different tribes and all of that. But when money come in and that oil money comes in, everybody fighting each other. What's said here is if you can perceive that they get over their differences, if you begin to see so-called peace amongst them, there is no more Sunni Shia conflict. There is no more we against you and the Saudis against. It's some trouble. It's some trouble. And we know these prophecies. They know these prophecies. So they're going to be there talking about we got favor on Saudi, but these people over here, they're nothing. But if you see them overcome this, it's going to be hell to pay. We just observers in this. Let's read.
Then these shall be troubled bled, and keep silent through their power, and shall flee. And from the lands of the Assyrians shall the enemies besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings.
So you'll see the Khazars beginning to crumple, begin to be folded up under the harsh pressure of the dragons of Arabia. And then they're going to get on the phone, make a phone call, like they always do, and say, we need help. And who's going to come to their salvation? Because for all intents and purposes, they are Crimeans. They are Ukrainians. You had all kind of stuff happening in Africa, but when Ukrainian did their thing, they ain't like, forget you guys. We need some billions over here. They had all kind of stuff happening all over the world. They ain't sending a dime, but they sending over $100 billion to Ukraine. And so when these Ukrainians, Khazarian Crimeans, get on the phone and saying, we're being taken over, what shall happen?
Behold, clouds from the east and from the north.
Here comes the cavalry. We got USSR Roosevelt in the Mediterranean. We're going to send some ships over. We're going to send our state-of-the-art planes over. Let's read.
Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly.
Remember what these stars are. These are angels over the constellation. They're trying to do away with the people. They're trying to do away with the effects upon them. All right? Let's pick it back up. Go slide up to the 13th verse again to remind the people of this. We're not talking about astrology here. The Most High is telling you constellations influence people's thoughts. And so the only way to beat that, you can't go up to heaven and change that around. You got to kill all the people. And so there's nothing to influence. So you win. Read that again, 13th verse.
They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein.
So when you see that fearful constellation, the stars over them, it's going to be fighting upon fighting, and the only way to get the victory is you win over the carnal man. For them, I should say. And so what are these stars again? Revelation 1:20.
The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand.
So Israel got stars. Israel got stars too. It is the angel in charge of the church. If they do away with us, that star has failed, and he has to go report back to Abba Yahweh that I failed. And that is not an option.
That's not happening.
Absolutely. The angel will die here, if that was even possible, trying to defend the position, than to just fail and go back and say, I failed. Let's read.
And the 7 golden candlesticks, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches.
All right, they're the angel. So we're talking about the angel that's in charge of the Arabians, the angels that's in charge of the Carmeans or Khazars. They're there. The only way to defeat them is again. Israel fight from heaven, as it says in Judges 5:11. We talk by way of the oblations and get power like Moses did, like Abraham, like Elijah did, Elisha did. But they fight carnally. All right. And so their angel tell them to do away with everybody over here because this constellation ain't going to come against you. All right. Drop all of that. Go back to 2nd Ezra 15. So now we're seeing the stage being dropped for Armageddon. This is why we had to take the long route. You had to see. I could have just said dragons are Arabian, Carmenians are. He would have been like, yeah, you're lying.
Yeah.
You're lying. So we had to connect everything. We had to go and check out and talk about Samaria. We had to talk about the 10 tribes didn't come to America. 10 tribes still over there. And they waiting to come together with Judah to come together. As the Most High said, he shall save Judah first. All right? So they're going to get the oblations first. And then when this begin, before all of this transpire, the other tribes are coming together. Judah already got it. Right now. We're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. We already see the stage is being set up over there. They're getting ready to do, if they haven't already, a land incursion in Gaza. And this could be the pretext where the Arabs are saying, wait up. You done killed 200,000 babies, butchered women, children. Ain't nobody going to say nothing?
Yeah, right.
Well, we going to say something. It could be that they're too spoiled. Too many gold cars and flashy jets. That oil money got them weak. But in a fearful constellation, it don't matter how weak you are. You're going to be throwing gold cars at them. Throw gold bullets and all of that.
You going to war.
Absolutely. All right, let's read on. 2nd Ezra 15:36.
And dung of men upon the camel's hoe. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth. And they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come a great storm from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it. And the clouds which he raised up in wrath, and the stars stirred up to cause fear towards the east and west winds.
So what are you seeing here? You're seeing Khazars, Carmenians, getting on the horn, calling out people from France, people from the UK, people from America, people from Canada. We're another European country. We can't have this happen. We are the only democratic outpost in this area. You can't let us fall under. So by that pretext, you're going to begin to see these nations flying in from all parts of the world. Let's read.
And the ending of 39. And the stars stirred to cause fear towards the east and west winds shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall be puffed up full of wrath. And the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place an horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords.
And that horrible star meaning something ordained in heaven. But remember this now, this is not the end. We already read this already. It says that all of them going to come and fight against each other. But when the Messiah come, they're going to put their difference away. And they're going to say, let's fight that. All of them. All right? But these are the signs that you're going to see before the return of the Messiah, before the return of his army wielding the power of the oblations. All right, let's read on.
41. Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters.
All right. We've passed knocking on that third hour. Let's jump down to, this whole chapter is power, people. Definitely go back and read it. Let's go down to 44th verse.
They shall come to her and besiege her. The star in all wrath shall pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her. And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. And thou, Asia, that art partakers of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person.
So now look at what he's calling this. Make sure you notate this. It's calling the Carmenians Babylon. Because we know that in Revelation there's a place spiritually called Babylon the Great. There's a place spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. All right, and so we now have a exact name on spiritual Babylon, the Khazarians. All right, they will be sacked, smoke going up, and it's going to bring some consternation upon all the nations that came to help them out. Well, let's read on.
And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon.
So we're talking about Eurasia. We're talking about all of these nations that they have been a part of and they have influenced. I said before, they was in Russia. They was in Ukraine. They're all in France. They're all in UK. You know who is in power when you can't criticize certain people.
Yeah.
All right. So letting you know the media is owned by them. This is not conspiracy. This is why you can go watch Al Jazeera. They'll give you a more modern, because they don't own that.
Yeah.
They give you a more moderate understanding of what's going on, report on the travesty. But CNN all day is these terrorists and hurt these sweet Jews. Fox News, the same thing. They're so precious. They're so precious. We just need to hug them. But the terrorists need to die. And so these people have infiltrated. They said, check this out. Europe, Asia, Eurasia, and all these other countries that have them apart, and they're in every country. I honestly don't understand why Christians think that this has been the return of Israel. When the Most High have Israel return, you won't have synagogues in America. You won't have synagogues in UK and in Ireland and all over the world. You won't have people milking money sitting in all, but you won't have that. You're going to have one center there. You're going to have the Nethinims bringing it back, going back to their country, teaching, preaching, engaging in all the things they need to do. If you got a homeland, people done sweated and died and spilt blood, give it. Why don't you all just go back? Yeah. I'm not saying that racist, like a racist. I'm saying simply, this is what the scripture calls for. That all Israel, Jew and 12 tribes or 10 tribes, is going to come together and they're going to dwell in that land. They're not going to be dispersed. That was part of the curse for not doing the will of Abba Yahweh. But to continue on in that dispersal shows that they're not following the plans of Abba Yahweh. They do not have the signet, nor the signs, or the traits of being those holy people. All right, let's continue on.
The end of 46. And art the glory of her persons. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch.
Check that out. It says all of these countries that allow them to be in your country, they have been your glory. The Rothschilds, multi-millionaire, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Rockefellers, all of them got these names, and that's all it takes for them is just change the name. You're talking about the chameleon effect? If you change your name from the Goldstein to Jefferson, from Schmuckerbergs to Jones, nobody knows. Oh, okay, yeah, you one of us, huh? You're a good old boy. Why? Because they assimilated into European culture. And you know what happened after mixing? You could see with the Italians. They mixed with the Moors, and these were, people from the Ottoman Empire, and they got a more swarthy look, as the Europeans say. A darker look. All right, dark hair, tight little, slight little complexion like they've been in the sun. Because they've intermingled with us. And the same thing with these Turkic people, they intermingled in Europe quite extensively. All right, let's read on.
Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredoms with thee.
And this lingo was always used for Israel, but now being used for them, and it's always talking about idolatry. All right? Worshiping idols, creating false gods, implementing them in the land. The Father's calling it whoremongery and idolatry. Let's read on.
Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions.
You have followed her that is hated in everything she does, but you ignored it. That's all they had to say is anti-Semitism and shut it down, shut it off. You may have said, I just don't like what you're doing to the Palestinians. It's anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not racist. I'm just saying I don't like you bombing these babies. He's anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. Get deplatformed, shut down, get on the some kind of list for being a hate group. The scripture is saying the Most High seen all of this. You forward all of that. It ain't going to be no double talk like Joe Biden. That dude got 3 mouths. Mm-hmm. And they all talking at the same time. He can promise something here at the same time. I'm not going to build a wall, and the wall is being built. I ain't building no wall, but we building one. It ain't my fault. And so you're not going to do that kind of talk when time of judgment comes. As I'm telling you, and I said before, and I say it again, not only them, anybody that's siding with them right now. If these words came out of your mouth, pray for Israel, you siding with them.
Yeah.
It went into the atmosphere, in the ether. The angels noted it down. And you've already chosen your side. You're saying, I'm with the Carmenians. I'm with the Khazars. I'm not with either one of them. I'm with Israel. I'm with Malak Zadok. All right, after that scrimmage happened, the Messiah is going to grab us and begin to take us into all of our lands. All of our lands. That's only the backyard of our land. All right, but let's read on.
48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith thou, Yahweh, I will send plagues upon thee.
The Most High is saying, I'm going to send those plagues. Jump down to 53.
If thou hadst not always slain my chosen, exalting the strokes of thine hands and saying over their dead when thou was drunken.
All right, so he said, you, Crimea, Khazars, have always destroyed my chosen. And if you blind, you don't see it. But if you awoke, you see it. We have never been far from them. Never been far. I watched this show, I believe it was Cadillac Music. Showed that even in the conception of early blues and jazz, they was right there. Mm-hmm. In the slave trade, they was right there shuttling us around on slave ship. They'll deny it all. And right now, in our communities, they're right there. I looked at some old Jet magazines from the 70s, and guess what popped up? Drink Manischewitz. It is the best wine. Like, wow, you back there promoting Manischewitz, Mad Dog 2020? Mm-hmm. In Jet magazine, hawking it like it was high-end wine when it's trash. We have never been far from them. They have always been there to lead us and to guide us into our destruction. All right, let's read on.
54. Set forth the beauty of thy countenance. The reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom.
So the Most High said the nation's going to pay for that. As I always say, read the rest of it. It is powerful. All right, we're going to move from there to Genesis 36, verse 8. The rest of it is powerful as well. The Most High talk about the plagues that's going to come down upon them and all who supported them. He's talking about the four winds that came to support them. They're not going to get off scot-free. They got to pay for that too because they supported in the destruction of our people.
Yeah.
When the truth was trying to come out, they shut down people. When the truth was glaring and right in front of your face, they was like, we can't publicize that. Why? Because the powers that be, which are them, will cut us off. All right, we're going to go to Genesis 36, and we're going to go to another part as we begin to bring this section to a close.
Genesis chapter 36 and verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir.
I'm pretty sure you heard this name. All the camps speak about this name. We're going to speak about this name. We're going to give some proper notation to who Esau is. All right? And only talking about it because of the current events. We were saving these things when we went into the table of nations to bring it all out. But time is of the essence. Armageddon is upon us. And the scripture is telling you what you need to do to get yourself together. Don't wait for the catastrophe. Don't wait for all hell to break loose. And hey, where's House of Wisdom? What are they talking about? If you're not in the covenant, get in the covenant.
Yeah.
The oiling of that tree is you giving up your oblations. You got to have oil in your lamps. And so don't wait for the catastrophe to come down and you're like, yo, let me go get covenant. They just dropped a nuke.
Yeah.
They just dropped several. They dropping a nut. Let me go up. We may not even be here. Get it while you can get it. The Most High is warning you right now. Let's read on.
Esau is Edom.
Esau is the father of Edom, the Edomites. Let's read on.
Verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau.
All right, he had a son, Eliphaz, Esau, and this is his offspring. Let's read.
Reuel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau.
All right.
Verse 11. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz.
All right, so we now see Eliphaz's sons. Now, Eliphaz had a particular son, Teman, who had a child. Let's read.
Verse 12. And Teman was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah.
All right, so we now have her bearing a son called Amalek. All right, and it's from the concubine, not his wife. So he had no heirs to Esau's throne. And so that created a form of jealousy. Remember, Esau was Isaac's firstborn. He was glowing. All right, that's what that red means. He was glowing because the firstborn glowed with the energy. Same way Noah, when he glowed with it. Same way Adam, he glowed with it. All right, doesn't mean he was light-skinned. He was glowing. He had the firstborn, but because of wickedness, he lost his firstborn right. And it was prophesied. Jacob didn't steal it.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High told his mother that this, matter of fact, it was prophesied to both of them, that the elder shall serve the younger before he was even born. This is going to go down. And the Most High said, call him Jacob, because he's going to do this thing that the Most High wants. He's going to supplant that birthright. And there's a lot of depth to it going back to Cain and Abel, because obviously Cain was the firstborn. He lost his birthright. Since Abel was dead, his other son came and took over. All right, so let's go back to where we are. We have Amalek coming up on the scene. He was a prodigy or offspring from the family of Esau. Let's get Exodus 17, verse 8.
Then came Amalek and fought with Israel and Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill And Moses said unto Joseph, top of the hill, with the rod of Abba Yahweh in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said unto him and fought with Amalek.
All right, so this is us, obviously, coming out of Sinai, going into the promised land. Who came to try to stop us? Amalek, one of Esau's grandchildren, offspring. All right, he knew that we had the birthright, and he did not even have Esau's birthright. All right, he had nothing. He was a bastard child. And so he's trying to follow the star to destroy us and seeing if he could take that birthright. Let's read on.
And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed.
That's amazing in itself. This is why the priests hold up their hands when they give that blessing, because when the hands of the priests are up, blessings come down upon Israel. And so when their hands are down, the blessings stop. And so when we fought the good fight, the priests were holding up their hands, and the Israelites prevailed. Let's read on.
But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it up under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, and one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun.
Moses was getting tired, and the priests know it could get tiring. Holding your hand up, oblation after oblation after oblation. But he had to do it all day, so they put him in a special fixed seating, and they helped hold his hand up. He was just there, like a scarecrow. But it was up, though. It was up. So that the blessings can come down. Let's read on.
And Joseph discomforted Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Abba Yahweh said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book.
All right, pay close attention to this, brothers and sisters. Write this as a memorial so that you always remember this. Let's read.
And rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heaven.
He didn't say Esau. Just like the scripture said, cursed be Canaan, not Ham. The Gentiles took it and said, all Ham can be slaves. Because it says curse Ham. It don't say that. It says Canaan will be cursed because he took the land from the Israelites. All right. And so we have here not curse Esau, but curse his bastard child, Amalek, that came against us. And this was so prevalent that the Most High codified it in law.
Yeah.
Let's finish this.
And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yahwehnesses. For he said, because Abba Yahweh has sworn that the Lord will have war against Amalek from generation to generation.
A perpetual war against him. And he will be removed from under heaven. Slide over to Deuteronomy 25, verse 17. Deuteronomy 25, verse 17. If you'll give me Numbers 24, Priest Kabaria, Numbers 24, verse 15. We'll start off in Deuteronomy 25, 17. So as I said, it was codified in our covenant, that act that they did. The Most High despised Amalek, not Esau, Amalek for the work that he have done. All this is going to tie back around. Be patient with us. Let's read on.
Deuteronomy chapter 25 and verse 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not Abba Yahweh.
That's some weak stuff right there. Mm-hmm. That's some punk stuff right there. The army is strong, all the mighty men at the front, all the soldiers ready to go to war, and you go around the mountain on the backside and kill the old ladies in the wheelchair, kill all the babies. That remind me of a jackal coming in the back and taking all the little baby animals that are in the back. That's some punk stuff right there. The Most High said it's punk stuff. He said, I remember what you did.
Yeah.
You're a coward. You wanted to go to war? Yeah, you grimy and ratchet. Go to war with my soldiers in the front. You know where they are. You're going in the back, taking away the women, taking away the little children. Most High said, I remember that. Let's read.
Verse 19. Therefore it shall be, when the Most High thy Abba Yahweh have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Most High thy Abba Yahweh giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
Remember this, the Most High said, out of all nations on the planet Earth, there's one, and he's not even a nation, he's part of a nation that the Most High will never forgive, and that's Amalek. Most High said he shall be wiped off the planet. Whoever Amalek is, boy, you got a tough, maybe we can find out who Amalek is. Maybe. Yeah, curious minds want to know. Let's read it again so there's no doubt. Numbers 24:15, we talk about Numbers 24. This is Balaam and Balak conspiring against us spiritually. But we began to see the prophet of the nations began to see us in the latter days, in these days. Let's read.
And he took up this parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, has said, the man whose eyes were open has said, he has said, which heard the words of Abba Yahweh and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance, but having his eyes open.
So this is Balaam. We know what happened. We should know the story already, trying to bring accusations against Israel. He could not. And the Most High just said at the very end, I'm going to let you see something. I'm going to let you see what's going to happen to Israel in the last days. Read on.
I shall see him, but not now.
And he says his eyes was open. He was in a trance like daydreaming. And he just was seeing all of this in his chamber of imagery. Let's read.
I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob.
Once again, the star, the angel of that fearful constellation coming to protect Jacob. Read.
And a scepter shall rise out of Israel.
That scepter was promised to Judah, Genesis 49. And the lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come, they are going to rule. Read on.
It shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy the children of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession.
The land of Edom, because they was in Canaan. All right, read on.
Seir also shall be a possession.
So the land that was given to them going to be possessed as well. Read.
And Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up this parable and said, Amalek was...
So Balaam looked up and said, wow, I saw Balaam. I'm going to talk to you cryptically, but I'm going to be poignant with it. This is what he saw with Amalek.
Amalek was first of the nations.
Why was he first? We just said it. Esau was the firstborn. Out of all nations, he could have been the chosen of the Most High. But it wasn't ordained to be so. And so since Amalek was of that seed, he's saying he was the first, the chosen of nations. Read on.
But his latter end shall be that he shall perish forever.
Amalek of Edom shall perish forever. Whoever Amalek is, he will not be on this earth. Every nation have chance of salvation except Amalek. Even though he seek it with tears and crying, he's going to come before thee and say, you are the Jew. Surely we have inherited lies and falsehood. You are, I am not one. And that's still not going to be enough. Let's read on.
And he looked on the Kenites.
Once again, for time's sake, let's drop that and go to Obadiah. Let's go to Obadiah, priest Rashim, and so we can read it with understanding. A lot of my brethren go to Obadiah and say it's a wrap for anybody of Edom and Esau. And then they began to ascribe the wrong person. All right, they put it on the wrong person. All right, let's read it with understanding. If you'll grab Psalm 137.
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Most High Abba Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Most High, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee as small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Most High.
All right, he's not talking about America and the eagle and the stars and stripes. All of these 10 breakaway states set up the same colors and set up the eagle, and they have stars. Whether it's Russia, France, Britain, all of them. You'll see red, white, and blue. You'll see eagles. Even with Russia, you'll see the double-headed and triple-headed eagle. All right, he's saying that this Edom, particularly Amalek, is interwoven in all of them. Let's read.
Verse 5. If these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they have not stolen till they had enough?
And when he said it set his nest among the stars, it's not talking about them going to the moon. Do your research. Did they really? All right. It's not talking about them going to the moon. It's talking about those imminent stars that we just talked about, fearful constellation. They're magi's and soothsayers. All right, monthly prognosticators, always trying to forecast and foresee. They're constantly there. This is why they are in astronomy, which is really their astrology, trying to really perceive the constellations, the winds, and all of that. Let's read on. Then he goes down in the 5th verse. If these came to thee, if robbers by night, would they not have stolen till they had enough? That's amazing. If somebody come in your house and gonna steal, I got enough.
Let's go.
Let's get out of here. But he's saying Edom came in and took everything. They ain't even need it. It's a Barbie doll right there, and they can take that too. But we don't even have children. Just take it. Do something with it. Taking stuff that they don't, just taking your heritage. Why would you, what you need that for? That's my heritage. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 5. If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Most High, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by the slaughter.
Every one of Esau may be cut off. Are we reading with understanding? Who was pronounced among Esau to be cut off?
Amalek.
Amalek, absolutely. Let's not be like the Gentiles talking about all Ham is cursed when the Most High said, cursed be Canaan. And so this is Hebrew phraseology. If you know who he's talking about, yeah, he's talking about the father. Some people may not have known who Amalek was. So he says Esau. And out of Esau, you know who it is. It is that bastard child from the concubine that came and did all kind of exploits against the children of Israel. He is going to have all nations coming, deceiving them to help him out. Sound very familiar. We have many names for the same people. Let's read on.
Verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
And as we said, shame against your brother Jacob. They have been following Jacob around since his conception. If we got cut off and was in Africa, they was in Africa. If we was in the Middle East, they was in the Middle East. If they was in Iran, if they was in that Turkic places, they was there. If we came to the Americas, they was there. And they was always exploiting us till this very day. Who owns the music? Absolutely. I want to put out this positive song. No. You got something to make the booty shake? Got something to make the women gyrate? And make the men kill and smoke weed and pop drugs? You got a contract, $1 million. Hey, $100 million. They know what they got to do to keep us in trespasses because our trespasses is their strength. But the strength of the law is us breaking the law. The strength of sin is us breaking the law. So they keep us in trespasses, therefore bound in sin. Let's read.
Verse 11. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces.
Check that out. Who? Jacob. In the day that the strangers carried us into Assyria. When the day the Babylonians took us. When the day we came over to the Americas, what did he say?
And foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them.
You was one of them. So even though it may have said Babylonians, you was right there with them. It may have said Assyrians, you was right. It may have said Americans, but you was right there assimilating with them. Most High said you did not get away with that. Let's read on.
Verse 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction.
Look at what he's saying. In the day of their calamity, when the Babylonians came in, you should not have come down from Samaria and riding in there saying, oh, we're not in the sister temple anymore. We're in the real temple now. We are the Jew. So he's talking about these Carmenians, these Khazars, also their biblical name, because all of those names are external to the Bible, but they all connect. We know Carmenia is in Ezra's, but now the biblical name for the Khazars are Edomites, as you'll see in a moment. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 13. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Laid hands on their covenant in the day of the... Y'all gonna leave this covenant? Or y'all going into captivity? Y'all just gonna leave this place empty? I'll take it over.
Yeah.
And that's all it needs is 1, 2, 3 generations. I am the Jew. You African, you're not Jew. And it goes on from there. Every generation, they're more cemented in their belief, like the woman at the well, that they are the saints of the Most High. The Most High said, you never should have took their covenant. He actually come back and said, what is the wicked to do to take my covenant in their mouth? Let's read.
Verse 14. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in a day of distress. For the day of the Most High is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee.
As you did it unto Israel, it shall be done unto you. And so what happened when we was coming into the promised land, them going to the back, the Heavenly Father foreknew that they was going to always be doing that. It wasn't just that one event. The Father said they're going to be doing this for the rest of their life. Curse them. Curse them. He saw all the way up to this day and beyond that they are going to be, the tactics that they're pulling now is just like going to the back of the line and killing our youth, killing our old women and elderly men. These tactics that they're doing right now are cowardice.
Yeah, sneakily.
Absolutely. Stand up. You're a great warrior. Let's go to war. Let's fight. You go get your guns. We're going to call fire from heaven. That's what we're looking for. But the Most High is saying, I will not forget this. Impregnate this in your law. Write it in stone, write it in spirit, codify it in your law. They will never be forgiven. I don't care what a Christian says. Jesus loved everybody. He don't like Amalek. He can't stand them, all right? That's it. It's over. And they will not make it. All other nations have a chance of salvation, like Israel got a chance of salvation. But those who went around and stole our covenant, stole our nationality, the Father's saying that's a coward move. Go ahead and enjoy being a Jew for a moment. It's the end of your life, though. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 15. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain.
Who drunk upon his holy mountain? We know. All right? The Sumerians, the Camarians, and Khazars. All of them. These are all the same people going into the temples trying to be us. Let's read.
So shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
So once again, the house of Jacob shall possess their possession because they took it from the house of Jacob. They're not talking about gold and silver and houses. They're talking about the covenant. All right, read on.
Verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame.
All right, we talked about this in Ezra. The oblation is going to go forth, and they are going to devour them. All right, the Khazars, all the nations that come up that are going to fight, the Carmenians, all of them that fight against the saints are going to feel the brunt, the wrath of these oblations. Let's read.
And the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau.
What does it mean that there should not be any remaining of the house of Esau? That means that all Esau is being done away with?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. The promise went to Amalek. He shall be utterly destroyed. This is irrefutable evidence. Anybody's just hard-headed, they filled with race hate, and they just hate people, and they just want to see vengeance upon people, and they're too many-minded to understand the depth of the Heavenly Father. All right? He's talking about these Khazars. They're Edom. Not the Europeans, right? They're whole different. We know that they come from Japheth. Yeah, there's a big thing going on. No. These are the Edomites. They came up among Japheth, and they began to look like the Japhites. All right, they began to be born amongst Crimea, the Ukrainians, and take on the Eastern European bloc looks. And then they began to infiltrate, as we just saw here, all of Asia, Eurasia, accepted them. They intermarried with them. They look like them. But they have the soul, the spirit of Cain. These are the Khazars. All right, let's read on.
For the Most High hath spoken it. Verse 19. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines. And they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south.
Now read this real slowly.
Verse 21. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion.
Saviors, plural. Plural. These Joshuas shall come. All of these men that was chosen to be king priests are going to be called saviors. And if you think you don't need a savior, a messianic figure in that time, it's because you're going to get burnt up. All right? Israel will need, the whole world will need saviors, messianic figures at that point. Don't mean that they're going to be worshiped. Simply mean that they are the conduits. Priest Yaradon went through the purpose of the priesthood. These guys are mediators.
Yeah.
Getting you to the angelic federation, not to be worshiped, but to worship with them. And so saviors shall show up like Joshua, or O'Shea, the son of Nun, was called a savior, a Yeshua. Let's finish that.
And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Most High's.
All right, so once again, these saviors shall come up, and they shall instill Torah in these holy oblations. Sin offerings going to bring down fire like Elijah brought down fire upon these enemies. And all nations that the Khazars, the Carmenians, the Cimmerians have all brought together for that holy Armageddon. We know that the completion is not there yet. This is part one. Let's move over to Psalm 137 to bring this part, I be willing, to a close.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they shall carry us away captive. Required of us, they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing unto the Heavenly Father songs in a strange land?
So we have David talking about prophesying about going into Babylon. Our temple shall be destroyed, the holy singers shall be scattered, the priests shall be taken away. And he's saying that our captors, remember, when we fell, Edom was right there saying, raise it to the ground, level it to the ground, was right there to infiltrate our temple when this happened. Look at what he says. Call the verse.
137:5. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I refer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Abba Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day.
What is David talking about? I thought we was talking about Babylon. We are talking about Babylon. Yeah, he may be talking about Babylon of antiquity, but he's doing a double entendre, right? He's coming in with another one that means something totally different, but it's the same thing. He's talking about spiritual Babylon as well, because we know that Edom was right there to assist the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, in the destruction of the temple. Let's read that again.
The seventh verse. Remember, O Abba Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even unto the foundations thereof.
Who said this? Edom. Raise it. Which means like take a razor and shave it to the ground. Raise it, raise it. This is what Edom said to the foundation. Destroy it, destroy them. Now, David come back and call them who?
O daughter of Babylon.
Now we got a name. For Babylon the Great. It's cryptic in Revelation, but Edom is Khazar. Edom is Babylon the Great. That Revelation 16, Revelation 17 is speaking about. It is this woman that is going to ride upon the 7 heads and 10 horns, forcing them, telling them what to do. And there will come an end to all of it. So David called Edom Babylon, since you was there with Babylon. 8 verse again.
O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stone.
Wow, you thought Hamas was doing some things. The Most High is saying, happy shall that person be that enact the vengeance of the Most High in that day. All right, it's that day when the Most High willeth. 2nd Ezra 16, and look at, remember, Edom is Babylon. Edom is Babylon. And so going back to the whole storyline of the dragons of Arabia, Arameans, and the Khazars all being one, he comes back in the very next chapter and call them all this.
16:1.
Khan.
Wait me for a minute.
2nd Ezra 16, verse 1.
Hold on 1 second here. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria.
He now names them all. All right, he bring Edom into the full mix of the Khazars, the Arameans, Cimmerians, all of them. With Asia, Eurasia, and Egypt and Syria, and all of them are going to come together in that great melting pot, and they are going to feel the wrath of Abba Yahweh. Mainly because they have taken the Most High's planet and greedily destroyed it all. All destroyed everything about it, everything on it, and the people, the apple of the Most High's eye. And the Most High is going to begin to take his people, bring them back into the covenant, bring that peaceable multitude to 10 tribes, and they're going to begin to fight against all of these nations. Now, we're going to leave it right there. There is a part 2. Obviously, we passed the 3rd hour mark. We would be here 7 hours trying to break this all down. Abba willing, next week, we're going to go with part 2, and we're going to break down Armageddon to its fullest with all of that backstory, with all that understanding. Abba willing, we'll be able to expedite next week so we can clearly see what we have to do in prophecy. The Heavenly Father is going to tell us what to do in prophecy, what we need to do to get ourselves together. Do we need to start prepping? Do we need to stock up some beans and rice? Is that in it? Is that in the cards for us? Anybody you know the least about the house of wisdom know that has nothing to do with what we are being called to do. But the signs are right before us. The man-child has been born. The oblations are on this earth. And we began to see in these places where the Most High said fighting is going to be, it's happening already. It's like when you start boiling water, it'll start with a couple of little bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to be there in a minute. You turn your eye, turn back, that whole thing is bubbling out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know that it is upon us right now. Again, we are in the 6th millennium. It was prophesied to come at the end of the 6th millennium. That means that this is not the joy that we're looking for. If this is getting ready to go down, that means this is the end of the 6th millennium. And the 7th millennium of rest is right around the corner, where we can put an end to all of the toil, all of the trespasses and transgression and the oppression that has been placed upon the saints in the whole world. The Most High is bringing Armageddon on this earth. Got to get ready, got to get prepared if you're going to endure the hardship that is coming to this earth. All right, we're going to end right there, and as we always do, we're going to open it up. Anybody may have any questions in the audience? I pray that the Most High give us answers.
Pure power.
And all praise. Come.
It ain't done yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Not at all. You see all that?
What you say?
It ain't done yet.
No, it ain't done. Yeah. Checkmate. We see you, ooze. Peekaboo. We see you.
Shalom, priest.
Shalom. Shalom, saint.
Wow.
Oh, my great class, by the way.
Come, all praise to Abba Yahweh.
All praises. My first question is geared toward, I want to say, the seals being open.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in, I want to say that's in Revelation 6 and 4. Where it's, my first question is, has the first seal been open at this point, based off of all of the fighting that's going on and all the destruction that's going on right now?
All right. As I said before, right, let's get it real quick.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
6 and 1?
Yeah, you can start there, yeah.
All right. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 1.
Actually, let's start at the 5th chapter in the first verse. Obviously, we're not going to break down all the seals, but I'll give you general comprehension of what it's talking about.
Revelation chapter 5 and verse 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals.
All right, he had a book with 7 seals on it. And when you open one seal, you begin to read portions of that book. And that book is talking about what is going to transpire in the creation of Abba Yahweh. All right, jump down to the 6th chapter. Let's pick it up in the first verse.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
All right, this first seal was the first millennium. All right, the first week, great week, which is 20 Jubilee weeks, which is 1,000 years. Why was it a white horse? Because the children of Seth caught up to heaven, and they was righteous. The Most High adopted them and said that these are my children. But obviously they went wicked, and they went down, and they became children of Satan. Let's read the next horse.
Verse 3. And when he had opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take the peace from the earth, and they that should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword.
So what happened in the 2nd millennium when they came down the mountain? Genesis speak about there was great killing and destruction. The giants was on the earth, and they was all kind of bloodletting.
Yeah.
This is the red horse. They was given a sword in the 2nd millennium. And this is when the Most High said, I've got to kill all of them, more blood. All right, and so each millennium is each seal. All right, and it's a covenant in that seal as well, but each millennium is talking about the seal in Revelation. Let's read the 3rd one.
Revelation chapter 6 and verse 5. And when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he sat on him, had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
So in the 3rd millennium, this is when Moses show up with the covenant. And the Most High said, proper measure. All right, a penny for wheat and barley to make the bread. And so this angel brought forth that had to protect it. And let's finish it with the pale horse, because everybody always go to the pale horse and try to get all kind of, mysterious about it.
Revelation chapter 6 and verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him.
That is the key. This horse brought forth death and Sheol, the grave. There's only one thing that can bring that, but let's finish it.
And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
All right. This pale horse came in the fourth millennium at the destruction of the temple at 3,500 years, which is the fourth millennium. And so after the temple was destroyed, death, which is separation from the Most High, hell, Sheol, the grave, was upon us, and we suffered all kind of catastrophe afterward. And so after that, the fifth, there's no fifth horse, but it's the fifth woe. It's the woe. Then it's the sixth woe. And then it's the seventh woe. They may translate it as the three woes, but all the four horses and the three woes go together, make seven, dealing with each millennium. All right, and so we look at the second woe, when we go back to it in Revelation, that would be the sixth millennium. That would be our time. That's what we looking for. Yeah. Khan. That answer your question?
Khan.
Okay, all praises. Khan. Definitely. Definitely.
I think you answered it very well, to the point where the woe was probably was the answer that you gave.
Okay.
From that whole breakdown. And my next question is the fact that we're coming back into the remembrance of the oblations. Is that like a testament to show that we've already, for those who don't know, that the seals have been.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. Not only seals, the trumpet, the vials as well. But what we have gone through, Ezekiel 37 talked about the dry bones. But when people stop, they stop there at the dry bones. But if you read the whole chapter, it talks about this came because of the covenant of David. All right. And the Most High shall bring them and their prince out of all of this. The covenant of David is allowing us to be that priest, to bring on this end time. All right, and so as we engage in the oblation, it is the epicenter of everything. I said it from the beginning. It is the nucleus of being an Israelite. Hitting them streets is something way peripheral. Whatever. Going out, dressing up, fancy garments and all that, way peripheral. You do all of that and you'd have not charity, you ain't accept this grace, this covenant, and giving up oblation, you ain't nothing. Sound of just a odd instrument nobody know how to work with. So, yes, everything is what we're talking about right now. We started off, that's why it was so critical to start off with the prophecies in Esdras to show the woman. The Most High said, this is a sign that I told you about coming to pass. The woman had a child. The child died. That's telling you that the oblation and the sacrifice cease. All right, and I'm going to bring that child back, that son. The oblation is coming back. And the oblations is here. We're fulfilling prophecy right now.
Hallelujah.
Khan, hallelujah.
That's what's up.
Khan. All right.
Nice.
Once again, brothers and sisters, we are, as you can see, this is not hyperbole or speculation. We are in the end time of the sixth millennium. I know end time is a ubiquitous term used by Jew, Gentile, Christian alike, but we are talking about the end of the sixth millennium, where the Most High promised that the Church of Philadelphia shall be raised up. And we shall see the fall of the Khazars, or the false prophets, or those who say that they are Jews and are not. They shall come and worship before our feet, asking for forgiveness, just like the fallen watchers asked Enoch. Go pray for us, man.
Yeah.
But we know better now. Absolutely not. We will not. Absolutely not. You could have helped us out way back then. You could have helped us out, but you did nothing but keep us confused. Now that the tables have turned, the Most High is going to empower the saints to enact his vengeance upon those who have tread down his law. All right, we're going to open up. Anybody got questions online? And some of these questions I take, if we're going to answer them next week, class, I'll be willing, I'll just defer it to next week. But what we got?
Come.
What do we have?
We have the first question is from Tech Jays. He said, what is the difference between a real Jew and a non-Jew? I noticed there's a lot of race mixing together. So how do we confirm a real Jew versus a non-Jew?
Well, obviously, we're talking about the chosen genealogy of Abraham, conferred the covenant over to Isaac, then he transferred over to Jacob. Jacob gave it to the 12 patriarchs. And the Heavenly Father said that out of Judah, he's going to bring that seventh covenant. And particularly out of David's lineage shall the seventh covenant come, which is the covenant of David, which is actually our ushering in of the covenant of Adam. Notice a lot of information. But a true Jew is he that is of the bloodline descendant of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, David. Now, you don't have to be a Jew. This is secular world talk. You have to be a saint. And who are the saints? Let's get that in Psalm 50 and 5. Now, the saints are those of the nations or of Israel. I know that that's this exclusion that people put out, and they learned this from none other than the Khazars. You go to the Khazar and talk about you want to be, they don't want to hear that. You goyim, and you're going to die and all the other stuff that the Talmud tell. But when the true saints come back, we all know the depth of what the Most High is bringing. Let's read that.
Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
Those who have made a seventh covenant by the spiritual blood and the spiritual wine, the water, the baptism. Those who have made seven covenant marriage with the Heavenly Father. Now, here's the difference between Jew and Gentile. Everybody got their job they need to play. Judah, at the present moment, must be the king priest, Israel, prince of Elohim, which means priest of the angelic federation. If you are a Gentile born, you can't do that. If you touch that, you will die. And so we need the grain, the oil, the wine, and all these other things. The nation's going to bring all of that so that we all can join together to offer those oblations to Abba Yahweh. And so he's going to expand it to the whole world. So it's not about anybody envying anybody. We just know that everybody has a specific job that they got to do. The Most High is going to have greatness in every nation. Greatness in every nation that he has created. Even Esau. Esau just got to understand that Amalek got to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Con, we have the second question from Nicholas Henry. Said, when will the battle of Armageddon take place, before or after this millennium? Or the millennium?
Oh, it's going to happen at the end of the sixth millennium. So when you see Armageddon unfolding, you already know that the sixth millennium is at an end. When you start reading about the 6th and 7th seal, everything is happening as it cross over into each other. The end of the 6th is the beginning of the 7th. It's all at the end. They cross over. It's like, entering into the Sabbath. It's the end of the 6th day, you're just going right into the Sabbath. All right? It tells you about what happens in the 7th seal, about this huge earthquake conjoined with the earthquake of the 6th millennium. It is going to be that close. It's ushering in. It is a changeover. It's almost like when the car dash hit 1,000,000 miles. You see all them zeros? It's happening. That's it right there. All right, so they are happening simultaneously, so to speak. They happen one after the next, but they're connected. So at the end, here's the thing about the 6th millennium. Nothing happened in the beginning of it. Everything happened at the end. When you read the 10 weeks in Enoch, it speaks about that 6th millennium. The greatest thing about it is the redemption. They don't even speak about the slave trade. They don't speak about racism in America. They don't speak about any of that. They speak about the redemption, because all of that pales in contrast to the redemption. The redemption happens at the very end. Let's say that there was the last 2 years, 3 years of the 6,000 year to begin the 7,000 year. That's when everything gonna pop off. I'm just saying that so you can get the understanding. All right, and then the 7th year will usher in its own blessings. All right.
We have the third question from VL Venture Works 1. He says, how does the Sahel region, being so close to the city of Adam, play a role in these days?
All nations have their role. But what you'll begin to see is the earth shift and the equator riding right upon the city of Adam. And so you'll begin to see what is now called sub-Sahara being the land of Ham. Everything across the middle of the earth. When the Pangea project, so to speak, come together, all the continents coming back, Everything in the middle of that is going to belong to Shem and his offspring. It's going to belong to the saints. That's why what is now known as Israel today, the Most High still want it, even though that's not going to be the Jerusalem. It's going to be the backyard to Jerusalem, as we say. Going all the way over to Iran, going all the way over to India. They're going to have to unhand that. All right, that's coming back to the saints, and there's going to be stuff for Japheth in the north, Ham in the south. You can read it in Jasher. It details that. But the brothers in Africa, there's a lot of Israelites scattered in Africa. They're going to be coming out of that, coming into the city of Adam. And those that are of the Hamitic nations, they're going to be doing what every other nation does, bringing their tithes. The gates of Jerusalem shall not shut day or night from the wares of the Gentiles being brought to the city to be oblated. All right, on behalf of their entire nation. I hope that answers the person's question. All right.
Last question from Sister Makisha Harrison. She said, Shalom, priest.
Shalom. Shalom, saint.
She said, excellent class, pure fire. Do you have anything to say about these sky trumpets they've been hearing around the earth recently, apocalyptic sounds so-called?
Right. It would just be my personal opinion, you know, just personal. I believe these people are always working on new technology. They got the CERN project. They are always in heaven, in the space, doing something. And I think what we're hearing is modern technology. All right, that's what we're hearing. I don't think the angels are blowing the trumpets, sounding that they're about to return. Nothing is on a physical level. You hear it in the spirit. I, too, have heard some strange, loud things around, you know, that made the news. But just like a supersonic jet going about, it could be new technology, that new stealth aircraft that they got that make that new sound, that sound like something being blown. I'm not going to give that the credence of that's an angel. All right, just like these brothers seeing these drones flying around and they salute them as if, you know, they saw it. Brother, chill, man. Chill, just relax on that. So those noise and sounds that you're hearing, when it's of the Most High, it's going to happen, and that's it. It's not going to be years of hearing strange sounds. You're going to hear it, and you're going to know all over the earth that the Most High is bringing forth that son, Malak Zadok, bringing in his priesthood, and they about to shut this place down and usher in the rest of the Most High. All right, that's the final question. I salute you all. May the Most High bless us all. Know that we are in this blessed wind. We're in the 8th month, Sabbath Classes. Enjoy every moment of it because the time is fleeting. And we all must get oil in our lamps. All right, meaning got to get consecrated. You got to get on that oblation line. You got to be in the feast of Abba Yahweh. Get as many oblations as you can in because that is the oil. That is the thing, as we're seeing in Ezra, those who had less sin upon them were redeemed. Those who still had sin on them, they blessed, but they're going to come back in the second resurrection. So those who have done a beautiful job at scrubbing the sin off are those that are going to take part in the first resurrection. All right, and the rest will be raised after the 7,000 years. All right, may the Most High bless us all, increase us all. May the peace, thanksgiving, offerings always be multiplied. Shalom.
Shalom.